compared to public, right?
There are some things that are similar, but the biggest difference with the military is the panel can do all the sentencing. So you can have a panel, and it's not a panel like people you've never met before. These are guys that get assigned to be on a panel for about a 12-month period by the general. And you have a group that just gets rotated through. So they could sit on 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever cases over the course of a year. It makes it a little more grand jury-ish because they become familiar with stuff.
They know the process.
What are you talking about, Mark? And you have a much narrower field of people.
Difference between military trials or tribunals, public.
Listen, if you want coffee,
okay?
coffee. What do you want in it?
When you say coffee, you mean...
Well, here's your bottle.
Okay.
Good coffee.
I'm good.
Not office coffee.
Oh, really? Okay, then I'll do it.
It's Keurig. It's really good.
Just take it straight out. Anything in it except Bailey's.
Okay, let me have Jack. Just left. Would you like some, Vicky? No. Dan?
And I'll take the usual way she knows.
Okay. Tom, George,
Yeah. That's cold.
I appreciate you coming in, George.
Oh, no, this is a great opportunity.
We so much over the years of with attorney generals and attorneys general and also district attorneys.
We just had the Denver DA in last week.
I heard her. Beth, how'd she do? Was it good?
Beth was good. She did good, really good. You know, because really, this is not an adversarial thing. We're on the same side. We really love. We get calls way before anyone else does. I mean, almost every major scam has come through us first.
You know, we had a case, when I say we, I wasn't a DA at the time. I was working for Danny Caplis, and you actually had me on to talk about it. It was a Republic 4x4 Jeep.
Yeah, I remember that.
That dude posed that woman. Who was a paraplegic, by the way. I posed her on the repair of her transmission, used crap, old used parts, started leaking right away. And so she complained against him to the Better Business Bureau, ultimately filed a small claim suit. That's it. He countersued for like $1 million based on...
Sharif.
Yeah. Based on like libel or slander or something. And so we ended up doing the case I did for free. And I did that jury trial in there in Arapahoe County, and we smoked him.
Well, I would hope so.
What a jerk. What a total.
He lived purely off the numbers. I mean, he'd never have a customer twice.
No, that's right.
That guy lived off of that first go.
Yeah.
And boy, he'd get you.
And then he'd try to bully her.
You know, I know judges have to recuse themselves when it comes to people they know. But with a district attorney, if you've had negative experiences with people, it doesn't matter, does it? Because you're supposed to prosecute, right? So it wouldn't really matter.
The only time I can think of when there's the difference between what's mandated by the ethics rules and the public perception piece.
Yeah.
If I ever felt like, even if it wasn't ethically mandated, that the public would question my judgment on a case because of somebody, I'd get out of it because the public questions the system.
Yeah, that was good.
So conversations are simple, straightforward, and honest. Call American Financing today at 303-695-7000. That's 303-695-7000.
What time you guys get underway?
About 30 seconds.
2334, regulated by the Division of Real Estate. Your shot at $1,000 right now. Text the keyword.
You know, Kurt Bond.
What is Gene Kurt and I go way back. Yeah. How do you know Kurt?
Who are talking to?
I know his parents.
Oh yeah, Chuck and Judy. They're big supporters, man. They show up at my. They're great people. They're fantastic.
Go. Just hit the button.
Way better than Kurt's a little high.
Hi, Tom Martino here. Welcome.
The only show of its kind anywhere in the universe, the longest running show on radio, on the air with the same host, and we are so happy to be here. If you have to sum up the show for those moving into the Denver metropolitan area, because we are new, I mean, we have so many new people, that's what I meant, and if you're new, welcome. I'm a consumer advocate. You call with a problem, and then we try to get it solved. We answer questions, we take complaints. It's weird, isn't it? You probably have not heard about a show like this if you haven't listened before, but it's quite unique. 40 years in Denver, even more than that if you count the other cities like Albany, New York City, Raleigh, North Carolina, Miami, Fort Lauderdale, Tampa, and then for a while, syndication. So welcome, live on Facebook, live on YouTube, live on the iHeartRadio app. We are going to talk about, among other things, Suzanne, we need to get an update on the power outages. People are just downright pissed off, and they're saying, look, we understand there's wind. We understand there's wind. Wind can blow trees down. Trees can interrupt service. By the way, this hour brought to you by Plumbline Services. Let's talk about this, though, Mark. They blow down trees, and I've seen some massive trees on wires.
Where is this? We haven't been around. Where is this?
In Denver.
Got it.
And in certain parts of Denver, they're scattered because it's not like they had a problem with the grid. They have a problem with trees falling on power lines. But you would think they'd have a workaround to isolate that area and get most of the people on. But there is one thing that I find extremely troubling about these power outages that I'll talk about when we get someone from Excel on. And as I said, brought to you by Plumbline Services, plumbing, heating, cooling. It's an electrical. They do all of the vital home services. Plumbline Services right now offering furnaces and air conditioning combinations for more than $2,000 off with all of the rebates and everything. So I really want you to know that I, honest to God, take seriously the people that we advertise for. They're straight. 303-586-1086. 303-586-1086, plumlineservices.com. Okay, George Brockler's with us, a special guest. He's a district attorney for Arapahoe, Douglas, and Elbert.
And Lincoln.
And Lincoln, 4 counties. And is that one of the biggest geographic areas for DAs in the state?
Certainly in the metro area. It's about the square mileage of Connecticut. But if you look at some of those jurisdictions as we head east, like the 13th has 7 northeast counties. I think about 75 people live there total. It's actually more than that. But that is much bigger. But where we're really large is population. We have 1 million Coloradans here, and that's 45% more populous than Denver. It is one of about 34 35 jurisdictions in the country that has 1 million or more people in it. It's big.
How come they didn't break it down into 2 DAs then?
It's such a good question. So what doesn't happen for judicial districts, either by design or historically, is that we don't reapportion these judicial districts the way we do congressional districts. Representation is based off of these sort of government subsets and these geographic boundaries that are defined by county lines. For that to happen, and it could. I mean, our jurisdiction's been around since 1965, and I think when it was created, you know, Arapahoe were just near us, very first county in the state of Colorado. It's the one that Denver was cut out of.
I didn't know that.
And they attached 3 other rural counties, Douglas, Elbert, and Lincoln. Well, all of a sudden, Douglas...
And at that time, it was a good idea.
Great idea. And all of a sudden, Douglas goes kablooey, and you have Castle Rock and Highlands Ranch and Parker. And oh, by the way, Arapahoe County is on fire. In fact, the state demographer says that by 2050, the top 4 counties in descending order of population will be El Paso, Arapahoe, Adams, and then Denver. Wow. Douglas is still one of the big 8. So for the legislature to change it, what they'd have to do is 2/3 vote of each house. They would have to decide to redistrict those judicial districts. Could they do it? Sure. Is it something that's on the top of their agenda right now? I don't think it is. And so, by the way, I like being number 1.
We're going to talk. Yeah, we're going to talk about what he does and the frustrations and how you can help. And if you have problems, please call us. Now, of course, we'll take problems, all kinds of problems, questions, and complaints, but we do have specific things to talk about with the district attorney, things that trouble us on the Troubleshooter show because we hear about them all the time, and our main goal here is to help consumers. Now, George Brockler, just for a little background here, he has been the district attorney now for how many years?
I was sworn in January of 2013. I'm in my 6th year. 2013.
George is a JAG officer. That's a Judge Advocate General. That means you're an attorney in the Army or Navy. They're all called JAGs, right?
They are.
In all the branches. You're Army, right?
I'm Army.
And right now you're a colonel.
I'm a colonel.
Yeah, so that's no small thing. And George not only served in the Army, but he does a lot of civic things. He's also a district attorney, of course. And then he did talk show. He did a talk show on KOA, and he filled in a lot. And he has a lot of experience in radio, so I don't have to tell him to keep it brief and be energetic. That's good. So Vicki has a comment on these power outages. Man, this is something. Vicki, what's going on? By the way, does crime go up with power outages? Curious.
We just don't see them enough
to see the crime. It's not like looting and all of that crap, no.
No, you'd need something wider spread and longer lasting, I think, to really see that.
Vicki, what's your comment?
My comment is, I get that power outages here in Colorado or whatever are frustrating, but my point is, look at the people in Puerto Rico.
Oh, my God, I know.
But it was like yesterday, the whole island was without power. Not
Yeah,
only
but
that,
they're so corrupt over there. I mean, their whole government was stealing from them.
That's true, but there have been people who have had sketchy power since that hurricane. So we need to be thankful that we get power when we do.
God bless Excel.
All right. We have some things, though, I want to talk about when it comes to that. We'll get them on the air. And we have another guest here we'll introduce in a little while having to do with insurance. One of our, it's not Compass. Now, Compass Insurance Group, of course, is our insurance experts. Insurance Group, actually, of Denver has been around as long on my referral list. And we had him in as a guest to talk. And so feel free about insurance, but it can be about anything you want.
You know, real quick on the power, I was thinking about this. All the new neighborhoods in Douglas County, like he was just talking about how it's the growth out there is crazy. In between Franktown and Castle Rock, it's like a whole new place. But all the power is underground on everything new. Eventually, this won't be an issue.
I wonder how long that'll be. We've been talking about underground power forever. Now, a lot of the new subdivisions, of course, are underground. I look forward to the day, and I'm not kidding, a Tesla's dream of transmitting power.
Right through the roads.
Or actually having some kind of electromagnetic wave. Radio waves are power waves. I mean, AM radio is power. It's, you know, it's just a very low power. But if there was a way to step it up and to transmit power, his dream was to have things that suck the energy out. And certainly we're going to have those in homes. We're not going to have outlets. We will have local area networks of power. So, but the one thing that always stood in their way, and Thomas Edison and Tesla had this debate, is that the AC versus DC, and it has to do with transmission of power too. That if power is transmitted in a way that can be sucked out of the air or the atmosphere, you know, the wave, then you could accidentally get electrocuted, you know, with something that would cause that to happen. But, you know, we have so much happening. Who ever thought we'd have broadband the way it is, and that we would actually have another estate? We knew we had the media, newspapers, and then, of course, radio and TV. And now the Internet has really surpassed everything, truly. There's more traffic on the Internet than any TV, any networks, any... So the Internet is the biggest thing that has ever happened since radio and TV. Will there be something else? I can't imagine what it could be. I mean, I can't even imagine. But I think it's going to be in the realm of holograms, holographic, and 3D experiences, where we're going to be toying with virtual reality. Anyway, give us a call, 303-713-TALK, 303-713-8255. Dan Mahoney, quickly, Insurance Group of Denver. Diminished value has been coming up more and more and more and more. The theory being, no matter whose fault it is, you get into an accident, your car will never be worth the same, even if it's repaired 100% to factory specs. So, do most policies that we have exclude diminished value?
Tom, I don't see a lot of policies that actually court to diminished value. A lot of my clients actually have had to come back and challenge that in a claim.
So they exclude it, you're saying?
I'm not saying they exclude it. I just think it's kind of a newer topic that they haven't necessarily addressed.
Because if they don't exclude it, I'd go after it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I would, too.
Have you had people successful?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, certainly.
Good.
Yeah. No, it's good.
Now, I believe in Arizona, they outlawed it. Literally, you can't even sue for it. I think it's Arizona. And other parties' insurance, you're not a contract to them, so obviously you can sue other people for diminished value.
Correct.
You know, before Carfax and other things like it, it wasn't even really an issue. The only reason people now have diminished value, in my opinion, is mostly due to Carfax.
Well, of course, but if they ask, has it been in an accident, people usually, you know.
And most of our clients find out when they're actually going to trade in their car to buy a new car. The car dealership will pull the
That's when the value hits.
Come back and say, this is going to cost us in value when we resell the car.
303-713-8255. Michael, he said he bought a new dryer and now a repair is $500. I have no idea what that's about. Now, Lynn has a comment, two comments, one on the headset, which I'm not wearing now, but we tried out a headset, I believe, and a diamond ring. Michael and Lynn, if you could both stand by, thank you. I'm happy to say yesterday was my first appointment, my actual appointment, with Bright Light chiropractic. Mark, I am so excited, and I've said it before, with chiropractors, unfortunately, most of them spend most of their career trying not to be a chiropractor once they become one. And the thing that makes chiropractic great, in my opinion, are the adjustments. I had a full evaluation from Dr. Mike Hederscheit. Now, I'm telling you, it was a complete questionnaire, physical evaluation, digital low radiation x-rays, spinal scan that does thermography. Thermography.
What is that?
Thermography takes the hot spots in your back, and it can read where you're generating more heat, which is mostly from impingements or misalignments. Then she did a questionnaire in addition to that. So listen, we do this complete workup. $50.
They do that for everybody or
Yes,
just you?
No, everybody. Now, I couldn't believe it. So a lot of chiropractors, x-rays alone could be $150, I'm saying $50. No tricks, no gimmicks, not a limit to time, not a special offer, $50. And I said, do I get my adjustment? He says, of course not. We are going to go over all this stuff now, and then we're going to have a consultation about what I think you need, where you're going. Some people need more than others, but we don't believe in just chiropractic for the sake of chiropractic. We're not just going to, come on in, bam, bam, thank you, and goodbye. So I spent $50, and I said, okay, and then what? Well, the consultation doesn't cost anything. And I said, well, then what about adjustments? $50. And,
$50.
And if you buy a package, they're $35, and veterans are always $30. And I didn't want to say this, but I'm thinking to myself, how do you make money? So it's the real deal.
They're not selling stem cells out of the back, are they?
No. That's the good part about it. No hocus pocus. Bright Light Chiropractic, University and County Line Road. It's in the Promenade Shopping Center in Highlands Ranch, 720-583-4506. Finally, the real deal in chiropractic, 720-583-4506. BrightenYourFamily.com.
Now that's probably up there because I can use segments.
The highway drive is slowly recovering across town, but it is recovering. The northbound
What's the biggest challenge? It's an email. I should ask you on the air, so I'll go ahead on.
Downtown, things are a little bit slow either side.
What'd this guy, Buckley Airman, get? Says he accidentally shot his wife.
So, Dan Miller, I got Joe Lazaro. Tom, listen to this. I got Joe Lazaro on for that ticket. He's going to come on. I said, but that's what Joe says. He says, well, unless you guys want to ask George yourself. And I was like, all right.
Ask me what's the question? Is it in his jurisdiction?
I don't know.
It doesn't matter. We would never ask you.
We might ask George instead of Joe.
Okay. I mean, this guy,
I don't know when he could be on.
dude?
That's his number there. He goes
This is a traffic thing. This guy is just totally.
But that's, you're going to have to call.
George, I think one of the biggest problems too is when you don't prosecute something or somebody complains. I wanted to ask you that happened to me in Denver, and you have complete discretion. We'll talk about that because we get complaints about that all the time. Well, wait a minute, so
Kill the mic for a minute because I'm going to ask something somewhat specific. I had an employee.
That gradually can expand their palate and straighten their teeth from very, very young, before they get their permanent teeth. And what happens when it's time for braces, it's cut in half or a third of the time they need them, or in some cases, they don't need braces at all. They never have to worry about surgeries, spacers, expanders. It's really cool. He has a special office for children in Lone Tree, near the light rail station, near Park Meadows. It's called NEO, New Early Orthodontics, NEO, N-E-O. Look them up, neo-smiles.com, neo-smiles.com, or call this number, 303-690-0400, 303-690-0400. Look for Aurora Orthodontics on my referral list at referrallist.com.
Hail and severe storm season is just around the corner, and that's why you need to call Golden Spike Roofing. If you think you have damage, call Golden Spike at 303-942-1386 for a thorough and free inspection. For roofing done right to the last nail, call Golden Spike Roofing.
Call Golden Spike Roofing when your roof needs a fix. 303-942-1386. Golden Spike Roofing.
When you think about home loans, think Ideal Home Loans and the help they can give you.
We want to work with affordability and what you can make as a payment every month so that you're comfortable and in something that works well for your situation.
Call Brent Ivanson and his team at 303-867-7000, 867-7000, idealhomeloans.com. Help when you need it most.
Equal opportunity lender regulated by DORA, NMLS 136756. For terms and conditions, call 844-45-IDEAL.
Spring is in the air. Time to think about your lawn and trees. Give Mr. Green Jeans Lawn and Tree Care Services a call. Mr. Green Jeans can make your lawn and trees look better than ever and at up to 30% less than the other companies. If you need lawn fertilization or aerating, tree spraying or feeding, also irrigation service, you have to call Mr. Green Jeans. Since 1991, owners Bob and Tammy with their son Travis have provided these services. Licensed by the Colorado Department of Agriculture in lawn and tree using only Colorado products. Call 303-426-4945.
Roof damaged or not sure? For any questions about your roof, call the company I know and trust, Excel Roofing, 303-761-6400. Even with help filing your claim, you can depend on Excel Roofing. If you have an open claim, better call Excel to do the work so you don't lose your replacement proceeds. Hello, I'm Tom Martino. Excel Roofing is the most trusted name in roofing. I've been recommending them for years, and they've done 3 roofs for me. When it comes to roofing, I get numerous complaints from people who've paid money up front and got nothing. That will never happen with Excel. At Excel Roofing, they won't take a cent until you're content. Call Excel now and get a free upgrade to hail-resistant asphalt shingles. Locally owned and operated for 25 years and on my referral list the whole time. Call today, 303-761-6400. ExcelRoofing.com.
Excel Roofing, we're on top of it.
Michael Brown, afternoons 4 to 7.
A saline ivy drip was given to a dying 700-year-old tree in India. That's some serious tree hugging there. Tune in Thursday at 4 o'clock with more Irreverent Talk Radio with Michael Brown.
It's another pure gray morning.
I'm Tom Martino, your troubleshooter, our special guest today. And for a short time, he's not going to be here the whole show. And we have George Brockler, District Attorney for the 18th Judicial District. And I'm going to get to your calls, but I have one question that's important. What's the most common misconception about district attorneys' offices? That's a good question because I know there are a lot of misconceptions. You're not a police department, but what are common misconceptions that you find with people calling in or expecting you to take up?
I think at a 30,000-foot level, the number one thing that frustrates people is the idea that, hey, I know somebody did something wrong. Why isn't that a criminal case? I can tell you this, that, and the other. Why isn't that a criminal case?
And that happens with us, too. We call and say, George, go after this guy.
Yeah.
All right.
And by the way, keep doing that. That's what we need. Look, there's so much that goes on that doesn't get reported to us. But the stuff that does get reported sometimes can't be prosecuted because there are 2 things that we have to consider ethically. One is, do we have a good faith basis to believe that the person committed the crime we're going to charge them with? That's number 1. Number 2 is, do we have a reasonable likelihood of success at trial? That may be an entirely different analysis because we may say, I'll give you an example, on something that's not even about the stuff that you cover here necessarily, but even like acquaintance rape.
Yes.
We can say, we know this happened.
Yes.
We don't think, given the evidence that we have, we could prove it beyond a reasonable doubt to a jury.
So it's a waste of time.
So
if you can't prove it.
Can't move forward. And many times when we talk to victims about cases like that, we'll say, what I don't want to do is put the stamp of approval on this guy's conduct. Let's wait for the case to develop some more. We have great statute of limitations on homicide cases, on rape cases, on all those other things. Let's see if we can't figure out a way to come up with better evidence before we move forward. The tough one is on property crimes where it's a short statute of limitations. You either got it or you don't.
Mark, just hold the follow-up questions. We'll get to them. Lynn, you have 2 comments. Go ahead, Lynn.
Hi, Tom.
Hi, what's happening?
Hey, I was going to tell you real quick. The City and County of Denver has a class a couple of times a month on how to file a small claims lawsuit.
Really?
You go in, you get a big packet.
Because I talked about doing that. I'm glad they do that. I never knew it.
Yeah. So, and it's free. You just go and it's a couple of times in the day, like 10 and 1, I think, and it's a couple times a month. So, and it's free.
We'll have to find out about them and promote them.
I didn't hear it. What did it say?
They have classes in Denver City and County on how to file small claims.
Oh, that's really
I
cool.
imagine they go over the limits and what it's about and all of that.
And if you have a personal situation, she will answer all of your questions.
Good.
She's very thorough.
Now, Lynn, you had some other comments.
Yeah, I listen only on podcasts.
Okay.
And one of the problems that I have is you're always way louder than the caller. So one of the things with this new headset that you had,
yes,
solved that problem.
Oh, good.
So now you're the same volume. As
You know what?
It might be just his loud mouth.
Sometimes it's the levels that our board is set at. We have so many different levels, but that's good to know. Now, what about the diamond ring comment?
So I was thinking maybe the bubble pack ripped open, couldn't be taped again. So the UPS guy had a gym bag in his truck, put the diamond ring inside the socks, and shipped it in the envelope to keep it safe like a bubble pack.
Oh, wait a minute, and hold on. And when they opened it at the other end and saw socks, they assumed the ring wasn't there. My God, that could have...
You got to update what you're talking
All right,
about.
Let's talk. Here's what happened. A woman ships a ring in to be warrantied, worked on. She had it for 10 years. Doesn't matter. I mean, it was a warranty item. The shop says, here, send it here. She UPS'd it. She UPS's it, insures it for 10 grand. All right? She puts it in a specific envelope. At the other end, it was in a different envelope, and it wasn't there. The receiver said, the jewelry store said, we received an envelope, took pictures, and inside the envelope, 2 dirty socks. Well, he didn't say dirty, I added that. A pair of socks and no ring. Now, UPS says, we're not responsible. How do you not be responsible when you take care and custody and control of an item that you are shipping? Had the thing been damaged, UPS has another excuse for that. It wasn't packed properly. And then you ask, how do you know? And they say, because it broke. They have this never-ending, they can never pay. Well, listen, I just want to get through this. They have a defense for damage that if it broke, it wasn't packed properly, yet they take your money to insure it. So then I ask, well, wait a minute. You took their money to insure it. Yes, we did, but how do we know it wasn't packed properly? I said, well, how often do things break if they're packed properly? They don't. So I said, so basically then every time I buy insurance, if it breaks, I never collect because it wasn't packed properly. I said, don't you think you should make it mandatory if you're going to take someone's money to protect something that you inspect it and then you insure it for real? Because this is the kind of insurance you buy that you don't know you have until you don't know you have it.
I think it's pretty much for loss total, but here's my question.
Mark, they don't
What would stop me from packing 2 dirty socks into an envelope, sending it to a jewelry store, and insuring it for $10,000?
Except she has witnesses. She has the place she went to that packed the ring for her and shipped it, and she has...
Could it be them?
No, because they shipped it, and it was in another UPS envelope
when it arrived
with socks. Here's the deal. I don't care who it is. If it wasn't that shipping store, which is independent, once it leaves that shipping store, UPS has care, custody, and control. I mean, there is no other choice. It's not, even if it was the driver's wife, it doesn't matter. They track the package. You get a tracking. They tell you where it is. They tell you where it's sitting for a day before it ships out.
Do you think the drivers know what the insurance amount is on stuff?
No, I don't think they know what.
Then how would he know to open, if it was a driver, how would he know to open that one envelope?
Who says he opened one?
That's true.
I mean, he could open several packages and take... I mean, listen, this was a diamond ring, and I think an experienced person knows when they ship something to a jewelry store, there's a good chance it could be jewelry. I don't know. I'm just saying. They have a padded envelope, and it's sent by UPS to a jewelry store. I'm thinking, now, somebody did it, and it wasn't her. Well, I'm assuming it wasn't her. Anything is possible. The shipping store, I guess, when she left could have done it. Anyone could have done it. It sucks because technically she's not the shipper, so she doesn't even have standing to go after UPS.
Someone at the shop that received the socks could have been them as well. That's what sucks. It
The
could
whole
have been
thing.
anybody.
You know what? Whenever you ship jewelry, when you have a diamond ring cleaned,
It's all about honor. I mean, there is no way to know. We had a woman call and said, my diamond is a fake, but it wasn't years ago. Sometime it got switched, either during cleaning, during the prongs were serviced. It happened. How do you prove? You can't. George can't go into court and say, well, you know, you've had this, you cleaned this ring 3 years ago, and now we don't have a diamond in it.
What do you think of that?
You can't prosecute stuff like that.
No, you can't. Even on the civil side, you know, we've developed this thing called res ipsa loquitur that to sort of say, hey, look, it's got to be this other thing because we don't have any other good explanation
And
for
what's
it.
that called?
I think it's res ipsa loquitur. That is very, very tough for us to prosecute in the criminal world. And jurors are super smart and skeptical these days of just about everything.
Okay, now we have this traffic case, which just boggles my mind. Please hang on, John, with a comment on small claims court, please. Michael, listen. Michael says, I get a ticket, and all I did was pulled out of a parking space. And I need that ticket in front of me, please. I pulled out of a parking space, and I got a ticket for going too slow. And I was only a few feet out of the parking space. I said, impossible. Now, you can have a ticket for going too slow. Pot smokers get them all the time. But the point is that it wasn't for going too slow. Michael, when we get this ticket, we find careless driving, no proof of insurance, and prohibited turn for a total of 12 points.
Boom.
You're done. So it's way more serious. Michael, why did you think it was one ticket for going too slow?
When I pulled out of the parking, I didn't even make a turn at all, and the officer didn't explain to me what was exactly going on and what.
Okay.
First, the officer told me I'm going too slow. Why you're 11 miles per hour? I told her there's a bomb construction, and that's why I want to go slow because I want to be safe.
But what about this? So no prohibitive turn, no careless driving, you're saying. Hold on. I know you only have a limited time. We will come right back to you, but I must take this break. Otherwise, Brutus is all over me, and he beats me up and all that. It's terrible. Anyway, 303-713-8255. Rocky's Auto, 63rd and Federal. Used cars, trucks, SUVs, and vans. And the thing I love about Rocky's is how simple it is. Prices are clearly marked. They finance right there, and they make sure it's 100% approved before you leave. They also have a Carfax with every car. They own each and every car. Clear titles. And you just don't have hassles. You have straight deals, family-friendly, kid-friendly, pet-friendly, open Monday through Friday, 9 to 7, Saturdays, 9 to 6, 303-426-4646.
This is Denver's talk station, 630 KHOW.
Best kid, and I had him from age 18. He was great. He ran into this girl that was on bad drugs, and I never seen anything go so south in my life.
Fell in love.
Because at 23, I was paying him free. 70,000 a year with bonds. 23, no college. Yeah, he learned literally.
Mark Stutz.
That's great.
Can be available between like 11:30 and 11:45. He just wanted to know,
worth about
is it talking about general outages or is there a specific customer you want him to address?
They blew because of the drugs and then having the money to fuel the drugs. They blew through it in about 6-7 months. I ended up firing him because I couldn't pass a drug test anymore. I got rid of him. Also, give him every chance in the world. Automotive. I had 5 Goodyear stores around here. He was the store manager for us. Fired him, and then like a year goes by, Fox News, breaking news, there he is. He shot his dad right in the face, thought he killed him, and then somehow his dad lived and came back. Did the dad end up dying?
No, it looks like it's attempt murder.
Reason of insanity. Can drugs be insanity? No,
Hold on
right?
a second. Was he actually convicted? No, it's going to trial in June. Voluntary intoxication is not a defense.
Of course not.
Crime. It could, in extreme case, reduce down from after intent with deliberations.
So instead of 2 or 3.
It could knock it down, but you don't get to get off the hook by saying, "Man, was I high." Wow.
Can you be criminally mentally insane and be on drugs would then be the question.
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely you can. I think many times, this is the new defense du jour, is anything mental health. And you can see it with CMHIP down in Pueblo getting overloaded with requests for competency evaluations and insanity. The defense bar, especially the public defender's office, has figured out that, man, we can slow things way down and we can create a huge problem for the government if we keep saying these dudes.
So Tom, that guy, he's got 6 points right now.
Psychosis related
From March of last year, just let you know that, Michael. 6 points now from March of last year.
Okay, it's pretty hard. Oh, it's generally, right? I mean, that's a high standard. The guy can't drive.
Four of those are insurance. Insurance are going right out.
The guy can't drive.
In the country. We have to prove 6 points from wrong based on
he has 6 points already. Come on.
And we have to prove that he had the intent to kill after deliberation.
That's why you said 8 or 9.
I'm going to ask you here. I've always found
that's what he told me. His email says there. Then he told me he thought 8 or 9. He wasn't sure how many.
I have no idea who's insane. I realize the difference between insane and criminally insane, but so because he knew it was wrong to eat people and murder them is why he ended up in jail and dead, or prison and dead.
Who's that?
Jeffrey Dahmer. I mean, I always thought, my God, if anybody in the world's insane, it would be him or anybody like him.
It's because when the conduct is outrageous enough, and that's what I think sometimes the people in the public and the defense.
It's outrageous. What?
When it's outrageous enough, people are like, well, that's crazy. Like, they say those words on the street. That's crazy. Like, who would walk into a movie theater, 225 in Alameda, and try to murder hundreds of people? That's crazy.
Someone insane.
It's like,
well, isn't that
street crazy? But it's not criminally insane.
Because he knew it was wrong.
Absolutely knew it. Knew exactly what he was doing. Yeah. If the guy thought he was going in there to kill aliens who had inhabited the bodies of people, different crime altogether.
Yeah.
But he knew exactly what he was doing.
How about you? How about someone so narcissistic like he just died? Who's the guy with the swastika? Manson. Here's a guy that really thought he could stop clocks and he could. I mean, he was kind of nuts too, but I guess it does. He knew right from wrong, and he sent those people in.
Even if the motive is stupid, if he knows what he's doing. And that was the thing here with our guy out of the Aurora case. His motivation, so he says, was two-pronged. That the psychologist and psychiatrists go, we think that's delusional. As one, he felt bad about himself, so he thought killing people would make him feel good about him. Well, that's messed up, right? I mean, that's what people, the other thing was he thought he would increase his value to himself the more people he killed.
You guys didn't go after the death penalty on that.
Absolutely we did.
So the governor changed it?
No, one juror did.
Oh.
Day of deliberation, August 7th, Friday, 2015, she stood up in deliberation and said, I will never vote for death on this case.
Why? What was wrong?
Never talked to her. I'd love for her to come in and
so you'll never get death.
Over. Well, if they appeal, and they said they won't, if they appeal and they won, death is back on the table.
Because you never appeal. Oh, that would be so weird. I wonder if that's ever happened.
On that diamond ring, I'm Tom Martino, your troubleshooter. We have a little update on that. Buy and build. We were there this morning. My contractor picked out everything for something, a project I'm doing, a bathroom, and Buy and Build had everything. The total of parts, the total of materials, I believe, way under $1,000. This is incredible. Now, at Home Depot, the big box store, the materials would have been over $2,000. Over $2,000, almost $3,000. I just don't understand. Anyway, buyandbuild.net is the website. Send your contractor, go by yourself. If you have a project, interior finish items of all kinds, plumbing fixtures, electrical fixtures, all I have to say is you will love it. If you love projects, buyandbuild.net, 303-295-6022, 295-6022. Now listen, Michael, with your traffic ticket. Here's the deal, Michael. I'm serious now. I'm not going to kid around. You get 12 points here. You had 6 points going in. You got a problem. I mean, did it ever occur to you that they could be correct and you just aren't aware? Maybe, you know, there are a lot of unaware motorists out there. You could be one of them. And really, how do you know you're unaware if you're unaware? You don't. This could be an indication that you need maybe some training.
Or he was smoking dope.
I don't know, Michael. You don't do that, right? You don't drink or smoke marijuana when you drive, right?
No, Tom. I'm a college
You make sure
student.
you put your joint out in the ashtray before you take off, right?
I came out of school on that time, and I was on my way to home. I parked downtown for shopping, and I was just going directly home from school. And I'm not I don't have any smoking. I never smoked in my life before, and I don't have any addiction or anything.
Well, the good news is he's going to have his day in court.
Yeah, you are.
What happened was I pulled out of the parking, and because one thing, the car that I recently bought this car. I bought this car.
Well, I don't care about that. What does that have to do with anything?
And it's because this car has
what?
It's a defective car. It has mechanical problem. It has the bushing need to be repaired.
What would that have to do with this ticket?
Because I was going slow. That it will making a noise because I don't want to.
He's using that as a defense.
Hold on one second. George Brockler, District Attorney, you guys don't prosecute traffic, right? Isn't it usually the city attorney?
It could be, but we have huge swaths of unincorporated counties, and we do some traffic.
I want to ask you something, because this is always the case. Always. There's usually no proof. You got an officer who says careless, and you have a motorist who says I wasn't. In your experience, I'm not asking about this case. In your experience, do the judges and juries, do they ever go to jury, by the way? They can if they ask for it?
They can every once in a while.
All right, so do the juries and judges usually go with the judgment of the officer? Because.
I think typically they do.
Yeah.
But it's not 100%. I've had that experience myself as a young prosecutor.
Okay, so the only proof he has is he didn't do it. You're saying, I did not drive carelessly, I made no turns. Right? The proof of insurance is easy. You'll just show it, and they usually dismiss it afterwards. But not if you buy it afterwards. But if you did not have it at the time, you could be popped.
Tom, it's possible, too, by the way, depending upon where he gets this. They either have a dash cam video, or now more and more agencies are going to body cams. There may be something else on video, including the contact the officer had with this guy.
And if you think of the judge, I haven't seen a jury, but you must think, why would the cop lie? Why would the officer lie? He has really no reason. This guy has every reason. And that would be the same with me in a speeding ticket. Why would the cop lie?
You know, can I explain this clearly? Because
so far you haven't. So I'm going to give you a shot to explain it clearly. Go.
Okay. So here's what happened. I was parked in the meter. I was trying to take off and get onto the road. There was another driver half mile away behind me. And behind that driver was this cop, and that driver was way far when I got onto the road. So, and she came in, she said, you cut off and got onto the road.
Okay, where was this? She's saying you pulled out of the parking space unsafely and carelessly pulled into traffic. So where was this? What road?
It was in downtown 17th Street Mall.
Okay, all right. So you pulled out carelessly. Where did the turn come?
So when officer came to me first time, she told me that why you're going too slow, and I told her because there's a lot of bumps.
Okay, then
and
what?
And second, then after that, she said, you just cut off in front of the other driver, and I said I just pulled out of the meter, and the other driver was way behind me.
What else? That's it?
And then that's it. And then
did
she went
the same cop pull her over twice?
No, it's the same time. He said she came back, went to the car and came back. So listen, prohibitive turn. Did you ask about where the prohibited turn is?
I asked her, officer, I just pulled out the meter. She said, I don't want to argue about it. She just jumped on her car and left.
All right, so listen.
She didn't even discuss with me anything at all.
Well, okay. You got to go to court, Mike. You know, really this comes down to you. He said, she said, but judging on your record, you don't have a good record. Do they look at the past record too, George?
Absolutely.
And they can use it as evidence?
No, they can't use it as evidence in a trial, but in terms of deciding whether to give someone a plea bargain, I mean...
Oh, wait a minute, but they can't say you had this many violations before. Why? No. You're not allowed to use past record?
No, in fact, we don't do that in most of the cases, even at the felony level, unless there's some modus operandi.
But if a guy had a record, let's say, of domestic abuse, and he's being prosecuted, isn't that... And he's saying, oh, I didn't do it. Well...
Maybe. There's something called 404B. It's a rule that says you can get in other act evidence if it goes to prove one other thing. But what we don't want to do is have a system that says, well, you've done it before, you must have done it again this time. If we do that, we're punishing people for their past, not what they did right now.
Okay, listen, Vanette, what's going on with you? You have an auto insurance question or you need help? What's going on, Vanette?
Yeah, auto insurance and court questions.
Okay, go ahead.
Right now, this decision is still open. I've contacted Insurance Commission of Colorado. They said, yes, you're right. This company did violate rules.
Okay, what happened?
So basically, this is a collectible, convertible Mercedes-Benz, a specific year, and pretty durable car.
When you say collectible, did you have it insured for stated value?
I'm not sure about that.
Then you would know. You would know. Now I'm going to come back to you to give you more time. Here's a problem with insurance. People want the world when they have an accident. I'm not saying you, Vanette, but while we're on the topic, I like educating. But they don't pay for the coverage. They want the coverage, but they don't pay. For example, if they have a really old car, they pay dirt. They pay hardly anything to get it covered. And then when it's wrecked, they say it was worth all this money because it was a collectible. If that's the case, you weren't paying for that coverage, so you shouldn't get that coverage. And if you want stated value, we can talk about that. But Vanette, I wasn't talking about your case. We'll come back and talk about you specifically. K&H Windows has a special right now. It's a company you can trust in business. How many years? 62 years. 2 owners, and I know both of them. Of course, the original owner is now deceased. The current owner, alive and well and doing great work with durable, wonderful custom windows. And they are measured down to the 1/8 inch. And when we say custom, we mean it. And they have a window special now, $500 off every window you buy. And they'll be around to warranty it. For example, my wife on her home years and years and years and years ago put in windows. Yes, they're there to fix them. Years later, 303-421-7100. And it's K&H Home Solutions, the website, khwindows.com.
District of Colorado.
The ring thing?
What is U.S. District Court District of Colorado?
That's the U.S.
Said
U.S. courts.
So Gene Wilson worked for them in 05, and then District 4th Judicial, Deputy District Attorney 97 to 05.
I was about to, but I heard you say you're going to do an update, so I can send you a picture of what the new package looks like when they tore it apart.
I want to give it.
She is so skinny.
Okay,
She's
I'll
like,
send it to Dan.
it's so funny. She is so small.
Yeah, you're going to get a photo of these.
You can just tell she's a beast in court. I mean,
what she
seriously.
sent me, but the package of how they tore it off and
she's
taped it on
scheduled that in
another
her policy, she can turn a claim over to her insurance company and have them subrogating it.
If she scheduled what?
The ring.
Oh.
She could make a claim on her own insurance policy, homeowners, then under the homeowners instead of that.
I just don't know why I didn't think about that.
Well, but if it's $10,000, it might not cover one piece of jewelry for $10 grand, right?
Well, if it's scheduled, it was because
I see.
The ring was $2,000. You declared it for a specific value.
Why would she insure it for 10?
I don't know if that's what it is and stuff. But she had said it was $2,000. But if it does qualify under the insurance policy for
she said 10 grand.
$2,000. She insured it. I thought she said she insured it for 10, but it was worth $2,000.
George.
That's me. I
You
thought.
could get a chance.
She was worth 12.
Let George know that his staff at NORAD and
They may have
U.S.
purchased it for
Northcom,
2.
J.A.
12
Legal are watching.
I don't know. I think that's what she told me.
But the company was subrogate back against UPS. Where do I look to wait? And then they have to fight with the insurance company.
Oh, this camera here, they're watching. It's NORAD.
What did they say?
Do you think the ring is? Did you talk to her yourself?
No.
Who
I
talked
was
to her?
just down in the last 2 days or so.
God, I wish I heard that.
No, she sounded fairly. She didn't sound like a.
But that's the spring.
They're listening
You don't
to
think
you
she
in one
puts
of the most
socks in the
secure
envelope?
buildings in the state.
We have a huge spring.
And then she said the label was ripped off the package and glued on there. So I don't think.
A village in Alaska.
With the socks. So that's why she said it was the.
Really.
The problem is it could be anybody.
And then
is it where Sarah
It
Palin?
could be either destination, origination,
Right.
her, or driver,
So that or shoe.
and any employee of either.
He just
watched by docs, the rest of his life been trying to figure out what's going on.
Or it could be the deliverer.
The jury rejected the not guilty by
The UPS guy who delivered it, because he knows it's going to a jewelry store.
Yeah, that's the problem. You've got the UPS.
But that would be the most, because he knows where it's actually going. The driver who picks it up.
Yeah, because you're right, because the envelope, wherever they're sending it, doesn't necessarily say jewelry store. But the guy on that route,
maybe he's had a couple other.
Oh, wait, I want you to put up that picture.
think of how many drivers are involved. You could also have 3, 4, and an airline pilot for that matter, if it's almost everything goes in the air now.
I mean, they may give him some treatment, but he's...
How about that woman that got sucked out? Holy...
No, partially sucked out.
Oh, that has to be... They found out today that she died at least from blood injury, meaning it was quick. I thought maybe she suffocated outside.
So you're... What probably happened, the window opened up, she probably go pop, 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 pop against the side of the plane, and they pulled her back in.
Oh, yeah, I couldn't believe it, man. I read 2 or 3 articles. They said it was a bloodbath in there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they pulled her back in. Blood was everywhere.
I thought it was something from the engine ridging.
So if he has a position,
it probably did.
That should trump.
In fact, one of them said literally it blew right through the glass and hit her, and then after it broke,
I think
sucked out.
if Colorado ever moves,
That has to be the worst. I always thought, though, if that happened at a certain altitude, the whole plane is like...
Right, sucking thing.
It has 5 taxpayer-funded attorneys and huge support staff.
Get down to that pressure.
They said that pilot, though, landed, she dropped like 20,000 feet in a matter of minutes, and got that thing landed. It was...
For what? What was that?
Oh, it's jetliner yesterday.
A couple of days ago.
2 days ago. A blade comes up. It's a, 737.
Oh, I saw it. That jet engine, man. That was
It blows right through one of the windows. Woman gets sucked out of the plane.
No!
She's dead. No, she's dead, man. They pulled her. 2 guys pulled her back in. She died almost instantly out there. But the pilot went from like 30,000.
Did they put on their oxygen mask?
Oh yeah, you bet they did. There was a hole in the fuselage in the plane.
That is so sad. Can you imagine?
Terrifying.
This woman is just sitting there.
And then you're halfway out of an airplane.
For Southwest, yeah.
Metal fatigue, come on, man. Everyone's going to be thinking about that now.
Oh man, I'm not sitting next to an engine.
They'll be leaking out everybody. They'll check every single one of these.
Well, they said there's been one other thing though.
Yeah, it's a couple days later.
Hi, Tom Martino. We are getting a great reaction to the seminar we had about stem cell therapy. We'll probably have another one because we had real doctors there talking about real stem cell therapy. There are so many scams going on. I don't know. I don't know why the FDA is letting it happen. Amniotic fluid, folks, not living stem cells once out of the body and shipped. The only way to get living stem cells legally in this country is to harvest them from the donor, you, at the time they re-inject them into you using imagery. Centeno Schultz is one of the few clinics doing it correctly. They're also doctors, MDs. They know, and surgeons, they have other alternatives if you're not a candidate for stem cells. It's not walking into a chiropractor's office and having a nurse inject you blindly where you're sore. Okay? Please don't spend good money for that. 303-963-9201. Centeno Schultz, 303-963-9201. The original stem cell clinic in America, 303-963-9201. Okay, so Vanette, let's get to this then. You have a Mercedes-Benz, and what year is it?
It was in 2000.
Okay, and what model?
It was originally 4,500 bought in the United States at that time.
Wow, what was it, a 2001?
It was a convertible.
But what model? Do you know? Is it an SL?
Oh, you're going to make me think.
Okay, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
CLK.
A CLK. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you know what kind of CLK it was? Just 300, 280?
Actually, it was a 500, sorry.
500 CLK.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and so anyway, how many miles on it?
I think there was 99.
Okay, so what's going on now? Now let's get to it. I just wanted to know what we were dealing with. Thank you very much.
Basically, the insurance company had dropped my car rental down to $16 a day when it was $30. which
Are you talking about
odd.
after the accident?
No, this was before the accident.
Okay,
so
they
when
dropped your
I went
coverage
to get
down.
The car,
Gotcha. Mm-hmm.
They're still working on the car settlement, and I all of a sudden have no car to drive.
I see, because of the coverage.
They shorted me on the days.
But when you say they shorted you, now are we talking about an insurance problem or a body shop problem? Vanette,
these are insurance problems.
Okay, your insurance policy did not provide enough rental car coverage. Is that what you're telling us?
Right.
Well,
they were supposed to provide $400. They provided like $260.
But what does your contract? It's a matter of it's a matter of contract. What does your insurance policy say?
They say they would pay that. They would pay the difference.
Vanette, could you answer some straight questions? What coverage do you have for rental car coverage? I just need a simple answer. The current policy that was in effect at the time, what rental car coverage did you have? 400 for what?
400 for the total limit
of rental car. Gotcha.
260.
Well, then you have a complaint, and you can go after them for everything. I mean, you're telling me they flat out violated coverage, and they're saying we're not paying.
Also violated other things as well.
Now, hold on. What excuse? I'm going to ask Dan with Insurance Group of Denver, not the one involved here. What would give an insurance company a right to say, you have $400 in coverage, you're paying for $400 in coverage for rental cars, we're simply not going to pay it? I don't believe her, by the way. I think she's reading something wrong, because I don't think they're that stupid, are they?
Right, no. And Tom, usually on the policy, this can be indicated by two numbers. You're going to have one, which is the daily allowance for the vehicle. Two is the number of days. So $30 a day for 30 days. So that's $900 total.
Can you send a copy of something that you have? Or I will try to help you. Suzanne, I'm not sure if she's complaining about the repair or complaining about the rental. Let's summarize that, and then we'll try to help you, Vanette. We're pretty good at fighting insurance companies. So hold on, and more with George Brockler coming up. If you're doing your kitchen,
you're a lot of emails for George. I got to get you.
So Dan, just let you know, when you talk, that's what I do. That's you right there, so it goes up and tell everything good there. Okay. Very good. And that's why it's wholesale. It doesn't mark up, so you go anywhere.
I'm trying to narrow down her complaint.
This is what's actually showing. This is like in queue. So it's over here.
And he doesn't lie to you about it. Like the big places that tell you you're getting 70 and 80% off. With Mitch, just compare and contrast. What you'll see is beautiful work, wholesale granite, beautiful cabinets direct from the manufacturer, and he will do everything you do in the kitchen in the bathroom free. Meaning, if you get counters, he'll do a vanity top. If you get cabinets, he'll do a vanity, and he'll tear out and haul away the.
Feel free if you got a comment, whatever. Just go ahead and hit the button. You don't got to do it like.
So as far as the rental and
Yeah,
the
you don't even have
settlement,
to wait. You don't have to wait for me to introduce you. Say, Tom,
as far as the rental and the settlement,
yes.
she emails the insurance commissioner saying, I get this, I get that. They didn't give it to me. Commissioner says, yes, State Farm was wrong. Let them know they were wrong. State Farm says, yes, we were wrong. We will pay out. And they're not.
I want to
so
see the letter. I don't believe her.
She says it's email, so I'll ask her for the email.
I don't believe that the insurance.
She said you used to have somebody on the list who would fight these things, and I'm like, I can't.
You can do a bad faith. Whatchamacallit would do that? Our crazy guy. It rhymes with crazy. Cranak. I like Cranak. Is a great guy for that.
So she says
crazy in a good way.
On KPD, Kelly Blue Book, it's only worth like $3,500.
Oh, I know, but that's not even an issue right now. This woman should get what she's got, and I need to see the email. She did not get an email from the insurance commissioner saying State Farm is wrong.
No, the commission would schedule a hearing.
They'd have to see the policy.
Yeah.
They'd have to examine
it.
So, and she has to send us. Listen, Suzanne, this is important.
Declaration pages.
No. She had to have sent the insurance commissioner a copy of the policy. I want it.
The California governor had been waiting on federal officials to sign a memorandum before sending National Guard troops, an agreement that 400 troops wouldn't be used to arrest illegal immigrants or help build a new border wall. Now, Governor Jerry Brown says
so there's a big breaking news day. You guys probably just get wiped off the air.
We've had for a basketball game. They weren't short, yeah. And then, like I said, they got a, like you say, it's a big break and they interrupt it.
Well, it's tough because you still got to stand by it. Something you have the day off. You don't know when they're going to
The basketball game we just let it. It was the women's college women's. Yeah. For Final Four. Was it Final Four? They just were in it. They would see you in and stuff. They were just in the Sweet 16 or whatever.
Like turkey, dressing, and pumpkin pie.
But you're right. If it's a breaking news, yeah, you got to stick
Bells
around.
is turning April into the new November with our Orange Friday sale. Get ready for peeled back prices store-wide, like a 40-inch HD TV for $149.99, hearth-side luggage for $29.99, and 10-piece cookware for just $19.99. Plus, our first 50 guests could win a $500 gift card or other great prizes. The Orange Friday fun goes all weekend. Bells, little things mean everything. Bells is part of our Stage family. Offer exclusions apply.
At Progressive, we think your custom cupcake shop is first class. Yeah.
That's the package.
First class from your first
That outside included on that.
until you graduated.
Okay.
So it does look pretty scrappy.
And a first class
So what if the next person was mom sending her son a pair of socks that came? The guy behind the counter printing off the stickers and putting them on the next bag. Some kid's class is $12,000.
So move your center of mass to Progressive.
And no socks.
And no socks. You buy a lot of socks then.
Guess. Insurance and affiliates.
This report is brought to you by the Flood Control District of the 7-county metro
That's got
area.
to be the worst.
Mostly sunny
Try to solve, and then there's people trying to make money off of it.
Tomorrow at a high of 55, and then Saturday rain and snow with a high of 54. The Flood Control District of the 7-county
Came from China.
protecting people,
And
property, and
apparently they inspected the package. I was reading this tweet from Night News that says a homeowner finds naked intruder in her bathtub eating Cheetos.
Was it Amazon?
Marijuana? Since they buy something and you finish, then it doesn't take 4 weeks to get Cheetos.
Adjust your air conditioner for a better price at this level of service. Just $79 to clean and refurbish your AC. Fix it 24/7. They'll get into your system and practically disassemble it to get to the dirt, debris, and corrosion, which is the #1 killer on all ACs. Not to mention the boost in efficiency you'll enjoy. 303-526-3939 with the no breakdown guarantee. 303-526-3939.
Some Chuck and Junior and groupies. They are really supportive. They've been so good to me. I love it. So, Fawn was a major when I was a lieutenant. And we were in the same unit a long time ago. You know, he's kind of this loud, scratchy voice guy. And I hadn't put on my Class A uniform since the whole time I was in law school. I'd gotten commissioned in it, and so I thought, I can't change that much. So I put this thing on, and it's tight, you know. I'm like, oh, I gotta get the button. All that muscle you built. And I wish. So I'm coming to an awards thing, and I walk in there, and I don't realize how much I'm challenging the tensile strength of this thread, because the buttons are... Kurt yells out across this room full of people who outranked me, and some of whom I outranked. He's like, Christ, Brockler, is that your sons? I'm like,
look at that.
And so then I go up, and I'm in front of all the colonels and stuff, and then I get some achievement medal or something. And the colonel that comes up takes the pin out instead of sliding it in. He just sets it in the fabric so it says straight out, and this stage whisper goes, I don't want to pop you. And I'm like, thank you, Kurt. Thanks for that. He was a judge when I was the Chief of Justice down at Carson. He was a judge on a case that we had. I went in to check on my prosecutors. And he is such a painful judge. So about 11 o'clock, it's an assault case. He goes, okay, I want to interrupt here. He said, they dropped my margin for 3 hours. I still have no idea if the case is about here. But he asked for it.
They put it in the back. It's fine. I talked to Corey's cool with it.
You know,
After 2 o'clock.
The government phone number. It's just like
yeah, right. Had one little wire.
That caused all of it.
Every bit of the hydraulic system. One little wire. They showed it to me before and after. I couldn't have found it ever.
This is the Consumer Troubleshooter Show, where we solve problems, answer questions, take complaints. Recovering millions of dollars over the years, live on Facebook, live on YouTube. If you go to referralist.com, you'll find a list of wonderful sponsors who help us to help others. Today, we have one of those sponsors in, talking about insurance, Insurance Group of Denver, Dan Mahoney. And we also have the district attorney for the 18th Judicial District, George Brockler, and he's been answering some questions. I have a ton of email for him. And then we have some very interesting cases, plus follow-ups, all of that. I just want to say that, George, you have the staff here, some friends of yours, at NORAD and U.S. Northcom Legal watching you. Your buddies.
It's a little scary. These dudes can watch everybody all the time.
They can watch everybody.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with the camera in here. Right. They can just see through the building.
They could get our heat signatures without that camera and know what we're doing. So this is from Craig. Do you know who Craig is down there?
I do. Yeah, right, Craig kind of runs the show.
Hello, guys, and thank you for your service. And George, you're still in the service, see, and also a district attorney. So your life is pretty much public service. Let's talk about some of these emails just very quickly. You have a discretion to prosecute. You already said you don't just take something where you know a crime's been done, because you can feel in your heart, yeah, I know this happened, but I won't be able to prove it beyond a shadow of doubt and or even a reasonable doubt. So therefore, you can't do it. You can't prosecute because it's for nothing. So what I need to know too, let's see, I don't understand. I just took some notes on emails. I should have kept them. When do people call the DA and when do people call the police? Or do people call the DA ever? And that's a good question. When do people call you directly, your office?
They do. We have a big educational push ongoing right now. We have an elder abuse unit that we just stood up. And about a year or so ago, 2 years ago, and we do a lot of education around this giant jurisdiction to folks and encourage them to call. Now, we want people to start with...
What do they call about? I mean, they got to call the police if a crime's committed, right?
There are times when they will call to simply say, I didn't get any satisfaction from the police or the sheriff. Sometimes they will refer to us. If the case is extremely complicated, whether it's economic or otherwise, they may start with law enforcement at the local level and then call us and say, hey, this police department said... can't do it, or this isn't us, could you please look at this and help out?
But of course, with emergencies, always call police, or even semi-emergencies. But you then get the calls mostly about rip-offs.
We do get a lot of the fraud calls. That's absolutely true. And most of your police departments and sheriffs, as they adjust to sort of what's going on in the community, they have people now that are much more attuned and smart about this. But at the end of the day, these cases get put together usually by DA's offices.
We have so many problems where people call, take money, and never come back or do lousy work or hardly any work. The Contractors Trust Act is so easy to read and to understand. And there's not enough prosecution going on, George. There's so many dirtbags.
It's true.
Why?
Here's the problem, is that if you have someone that at least starts work and then stops work, and that's the model for a lot of these fraudsters.
But the Trust Act still says the money given must be in trust for that job.
That's absolutely true. And we know for the subcontractors, too, that it's got to be available for the subcontractors. The problem isn't, do we think the guy's dirty? It's these guys are smart enough to know that they've created enough of a doubt there by saying, and the defense they have is, I'm just a horrible businessman, or I made some bad bets.
But hard to prosecute.
But if we have a guy that took $68,000, he absolutely, positively did not do $68,000 worth of work. That is easy to prove.
He might have even done damage.
Okay, so he did maybe $5,000 or $6,000 in work, and he doesn't have the money, period. He just doesn't have it, and he's not finishing. George, that money is supposed to be in trust. Can't you, as a DA, say, where's the money?
I think we can. What jurisdiction was that in, by the way?
Oh, that was Jeffco.
Well, and Jeffco's got
they're taking a look at
very robust economic front. And frankly, maybe that's one of the great things that grows out of us being right here is to encourage people to call in, and you guys, we'll get you the phone number. You start reaching out to us and telling us, hey, we got another one. Take a look at this.
And I don't expect you to take every single case, but when we have a guy that's repeatedly doing stuff, but this one guy, when they just take money, literally take money, even, George, it used to be, before the Contractors Trust Act, and I fought like hell for it, before it, they say, well, it's a civil matter because he started.
Yes, that's right.
Or he's a poor businessman.
That's right.
But the Contractors Trust Act took that out of it because it said even if you're a poor businessman, even if you started the job, it's a trust law. I mean, this trust fund is very important. It's not as strict as an attorney's, but you know what will happen if I give $10,000 to an attorney and he can't account for it in a trust fund? That is, he can lose his license.
Absolutely right.
He would lose his license.
It may not be criminal, though. He might lose his license to practice, but it may not be prosecutable as a crime.
So the Contractors Trust Act, have you prosecuted any of them that you recall?
Me personally, no.
No,
Whether
or
our
your
team
office-
has, I'm sure this is one of the tools they use to prove up
Especially
the
Douglas
fact that
County, my God.
Yeah, Douglas County. My own neighbors down the block, we were at some get-together over the summer. Dude comes in and says, hey, I hired these guys to do all my landscaping and do all this voodoo and stuff, and I gave them a whole bunch of money. They came in, did probably a couple $1,000s worth of work, and then they were gone. So
you must be a hit at dinner parties, man. My God, that would be insane.
What about this?
Yeah, it's a lot like being a doctor, where it doesn't matter what kind of doctor you are. People come up and say,
No,
hey,
I
can you
know.
look at my heel?
So
it's like
okay.
that too. You know?
Another one. When one person said they had called, they wanted some guy prosecuted. Once she called, she wasn't a direct witness, just knew about dirt. They say they can't disclose it because it's under investigation, but that's been 2 years. So what I want to know is, when do these files become public, or is it just a great excuse to say, hey, it's under investigation? Maybe, and I'm not saying you do this, but maybe some official, some authority is lazy. And the way not to be accountable is to just say it's under investigation, can't discuss it. I don't know.
Yeah, listen, I think transparency in prosecution is critical.
But you
because
cannot disclose an active investigation.
No, we can't for a couple reasons. One, we want to continue to develop it, and we don't want people to go away or hide evidence or whatever. But the other thing is this, too. Sometimes, if you can imagine, people make accusations against people that aren't legit, and if we sully their name in public by saying, hey, someone said you did this, it's devastating. You can't get that back.
When does it become public?
So there's two ways we have publicity, or we can get out public information. One is the Colorado Open Records Act, but the one that applies most often to us is the Colorado Criminal Justice Records Act. That one provides far more discretion to the law enforcement agency in terms of determining what gets turned over. But my goodness, man, if we ever clear someone, we want that to be public. Officer-involved shootings on our website.
Or if they're charged, you want to
If they're charged, we want it to be public, but we don't want to like sour a potential jury against them before they have their day in court. But when a case is over, with limited exception, most of those records are publicly available through either Cora or the CCJRA.
What do you think of most judges that you have to deal with? Or
Well, what do you think he's going to say anything? Come on.
To the extent that
Just curious.
To the extent that they're listening at 11:13, I want to know why they're not in their courtroom. No, I think they're great. I just if you want me to tell you a consumer issue with judges, our system for picking judges is very, very good, especially compared to other states out there. We don't do elections, that's fine. But the problem with it is this: you can take a guy or a gal who's a 20-year domestic relations lawyer, the best in the business at it, and the day after they are appointed to be a judge, they can be put in charge of a criminal docket and giving sentences and making evidentiary
And they know
rulings.
nothing about it.
They don't know nothing about it.
Why wouldn't they have judges that have specialties areas?
We don't have that built into our system.
Is it in other states? It's a good idea.
I don't know.
That is a great idea. Why wouldn't you have someone who's knowledgeable in that area?
Conversely, you could have me. I know criminal law, right? I've been doing this my whole life. You put me in charge of a civil case where there's all these technical, or med-mal, or a divorce. I mean, I'm a knucklehead. I'm reading stuff for the first time. You don't want me in charge of your divorce. But we don't have safeguards that mandate a certain level of experience before we put a judge there.
John, what's going on with you, sir? John.
Yes, sir.
What's happening with your cabinets?
Well, I'm a property manager for a fourplex apartment that my mother-in-law owns. And I've been updating the apartments as they become vacant. I'd worked with Wholesale Kitchen Cabinets before on 2 other renovations, kitchen cabinets.
I seem to have heard of them. Wholesale. Where are they located?
South Broadway.
Oh, no, then I don't know them. Okay, so what about them?
Well, I had placed the 3rd order with them, and when I was talking with Nelson, the guy with whom I was working, it said it should be 10 to 12 days from the date that he placed the order. That was back on March 12th.
Well?
And, yes, March 12th.
You didn't get anything?
No, nothing.
How much did you pay?
$3,700.
What do they say about it?
Nothing. That's the issue. I sent an email to your screener, and she has a copy of that. But basically, for a long time there was, they've been delayed, stuff like that.
Did you pay by credit card, I hope?
No, unfortunately,
John,
no.
didn't you
Again,
go...
Well, I had dealt with him before.
Okay, did you say there was a sign on the door?
Wasn't there some sort of sign on the door, John?
There was.
What did it say? Sorry, suckers, gone?
It's a writ of restitution.
Okay, now that means he owed something to somebody who managed to get a judgment and then managed to go in and take stuff.
Literally.
Yeah.
And I've got a copy of it. I took a picture of it, and basically it says, move your stuff out or the sheriff's going to move it out.
Boy, that's interesting.
Wait a minute. writ of execution doesn't say move your stuff out or
No.
the sheriff's going to move it out. That's an eviction.
No, just a second. I said I intended to say writ of restitution.
Well, okay, a writ of restitution is not move your stuff out or the sheriff's going to get it. It usually would say something like, you better not move anything out. I mean, really, it doesn't matter. They're in trouble, okay? They're in trouble. Bottom line is this. You probably lost your money, and there's probably a clown with no assets or anything to go after.
But he's been in contact with the guy who says,
then we need to call him.
We closed the
We need to call him then.
But
so let's call him, Suzanne. Hold on. We'll give him a call. 303-713-TALK, 713-8255. With marijuana, another email-related, or not email-related, email. They want to know, do you have crimes that can be attributed or somehow influenced by the legalization of marijuana? Has it increased as a result? Have things gotten heated up as a result of marijuana in any way?
Such a great question. Yes. I mean, here's what we're seeing. Very difficult to prosecute marijuana-intoxicated drivers because of our laws and the testing. That's one.
Okay.
Two, we have seen a huge uptick and almost like a professionalization of black market marijuana. It ain't dudes on a street corner passing street swag back to each other. These are full-blown operations on the southern part of the state, coming up from Mexico, out here in Elbert County, from Cuba, or Cubans who are coming from Florida. And even in our jurisdiction here, regular old folks turning their house into a giant production plant for marijuana that they sell at the door. The other one, though, the one you wouldn't expect, is we have seen a significant uptick in violent crime related to the illegal transaction of marijuana.
Or stealing from grows and stealing from dispensaries.
Yeah, but he's talking violent crime.
Oh, yeah, I'm talking about things like since marijuana was voted on to be legal, recreational, 2012-ish.
Were you against it?
I was against Amendment 64, but I'll tell you who wasn't. 55% of Colorado voters.
Understand.
So
I'm not here to talk to to debate that either. And I understand, but.
So here's what happened. Since we passed it, 11 murders that we attribute to the illegal transaction of marijuana. That doesn't include attempt murders, assaults, burglaries, robberies, none of that stuff. It is very difficult to explain why, though. Some of these, like we had an attempt murder, I think it was an attempt, Vicky's here with me, down the street from a medical marijuana dispensary. It was just when it was closed. And you wonder, if it's legal to buy, why are people shooting each other over it? Colorado marijuana has a huge street value outside of Colorado. You can get a bunch of Colorado marijuana here. A pound of it's $1,000. You can get it to Florida, $6,000. That's just straight arbitrage.
Oh,
that's
man.
Hey, can I throw a consumer issue out?
Go ahead.
I'm going to play like I'm calling in. Hello, Tom. Thank you for taking my call.
Yes, sir.
Hypothetically, if someone in a house that has a KitchenAid dishwasher were to, let's say, wash a candle, and that candle melted and covered it and shut down that dishwasher, who's the best person to call? Are there people out there that can uncandleize?
Do you have a kid that did this?
I don't really want to admit who did it, especially since they may be listening.
All right. We'll come back and talk about that, actually, coming up.
This report is brought to you by the Flood Control District.
Pulled the drawer out, and I'm like, what the? How would you get it out of the line?
Is anything broken as a result?
It just doesn't work anymore. It stopped mid-cycle.
Oh,
I presume the wax
it
just
literally
doesn't work. Okay,
Think of all the little jets that are now filled with wax.
See, that's what I worry about.
It got in the
I don't think they could do it.
I think it's a planes removal guy. Actually.
So we have two smaller KitchenAid dishwashers. This one has been candleized now for months. The second one just crapped out yesterday, so now we're in panic mode. Like, we're going back to the 70s, man. Like when I grew up, we're going back to washing everything by hand.
It's a good time.
I need a KitchenAid repair dude who can come out and sprinkle pixie dust on this and go, it works.
Might be cheaper to get me washing.
Well, come on. I don't even know how much they are.
There's a whole app thing now.
Man's going to bring two
small. Mikey had some stuff to work on with it.
Probably break damage or something.
No, they're referralists. I think we could launch by the first or second.
Yeah. I don't even know how much of a dishwasher costs.
Oh, no, I know we can.
We're pretty much done by the
We all have
second.
our own little bit. And we decided, we're not going to call everybody first. We're going to launch and then call them. We're going to launch, and we're going to have a list of them all, and explain so we're not going to give them any links. Second, they call in,
Feel like
are the
I'm out of
ones
my
who are
element
active
here.
and want to be part of it.
Is that a
We
major
put them at
appliance?
the
'Cause
top
it's
and then
not
go
yet.
back to our list.
I'm going
And
right to the
Mike thought it was a great idea too, because the people that really pay attention, we want to give them right now.
Well,
Then
we
the
got
other
the house
people, we
in
give a choice. Do you want us to just manage like we always have? Fine. Call us if you need changes. If you want to do it, call us at such time you're ready to
Dishwasher's
get
only probably
instructions.
I
good
like
for 6 to 8 years.
Then we don't.
It's our benefit if they get instructions, because they'll use the deals and the deals will grow.
And I have a script.
Oh my gosh.
So,
Here's
you
some
know,
right here.
the rapid decompression on that plane,
Yes.
they were not watching the flight attendants. All of the people, when you see the picture, they have the mask over their
I'd
mouth.
go to Best Buy or
And
something.
It's got to be over both.
over your nose and mouth, and you, yeah,
So the stewardesses didn't explain it well enough.
the flight
The
attendants.
stewardesses did what?
The flight
The
attendants.
flying waitresses.
No, the people did, you guys, the
Why?
people do not listen, and this is what happens. But she did have her seatbelt on.
Yeah.
And the suction is such that it sucked her out even though the seatbelt.
Oh my God.
It probably ripped her more than it ripped the seatbelt.
But they pulled her back in though.
It,
What was
it probably sucked, and it probably.
They said there was blood, it was
broke
a
her,
blood.
probably broke her back.
I got to bring it in hard.
They probably did.
Oh, that,
Yes.
Very, very.
So I tried to
you know, just go down there and take
yeah,
fucking
yeah,
things
they're
that
coming
you
at
throw, they don't want
once.
to get somebody to get her out of it.
I'll pay for it.
2 or 3 guys.
Anyway, I'll be in the cover.
But
$100
they said, some of the ones I read, they said it was a blood.
I'm not letting it go. I'm not
That's only
letting it go.
one
I've got a
person.
call in, I've got an email in, I'm up
Like I said,
there.
imagine her head was out there just bam, 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 against the side of the plane. And just, you know,
Taking care
flap,
of
flap,
it.
flap, pressure.
The human body's kind of cool,
But yeah,
because you know,
this is why
it
they-
just
people
shut
don't
down.
watch
She didn't
flight
feel that.
attendants.
At least she
Flight
sure
attendants.
hoped not.
Oh, no wonder you're paying attention.
And he calls me stewardess. So it's just,
And
did
wrong.
you get my message about
At
Millennium?
least I don't call you a flying waitress.
And I was just joking.
I
Sure.
know you were. I can tell by your tone.
Oh.
You, on the other hand. Did you get my email that I sent you about Millennium?
Oh.
Me?
Yes.
I don't know.
He's doing Raleigh right now. I can't do that. I gotta do
Send it again, I don't have it here.
a reminder from my services. Blah, blah,
Yeah,
blah.
just send it to me again. Just forward it.
Okay.
I might have seen it, I don't know.
Yeah. I
But
just
it's
didn't want to
not
fall
there
into
now.
the cracks, so I had it on my list of something to
Okay.
ask you about. But
Okay, I deal with it too. All of these guys advertise so much, it's hard to place these other spots. I got Centeno. I did Centeno. Yes, I did Centeno. Okay, Auto Care, Pro Auto Care.
Oh, they had their phone system.
Who else was wrong? Just
I can't believe how cheap my RV insurance was.
How much?
$1,100 for the year, and then my umbrella, of course,
But
is
you
on.
don't drive it.
That's
But
amazing.
they take that in.
I might give up my cars and
Hi,
drive
I'm
the
Tom
RV.
Martino. You're a troubleshooter. A couple things
To discuss here. First, I want to remind you that Plumline Services has that special more than $2,000 off of a furnace AC combination. But there's something else. The number one category of put-off services, delayed, procrastinated, electrical. Because people decide I'm not going to use that outlet, or I'm not going to use that switch, or I'll just turn off that circuit. That is okay, but many times there's a danger involved with electrical, especially with heated circuits. So here's the bottom line. Plumline will find and fix any problem you have, any problem that you have with electrical, for $149, which includes the parts. See, because most of the time you fear it because you don't know what it is, you don't know what it's going to cost. It'll never cost more than $149, or you pay nothing, so there's no risk. In other words, let's say the problem is not just with a circuit, but it's some major deal. They'll put it in writing, they'll put their name on it and guarantee that's what's wrong with it, and then give you a price. They will not charge you anything. That's a free diagnostic you can take anywhere and shop or have them do it. But the $149 is a guarantee. About 85% of the time, it will be fixed with parts. 303-586-1086. Don't put off any electrical problems. Of course, they do plumbing, heating, cooling, electric, and drains. A company I've known and trusted for 30 years. 303-586-1086. Okay,
let's keep going here. George Brockler cannot stay much longer, so I want to get these emails out that people have asked about. And we asked about the pot-related crimes. Okay, I wasn't clear on when files become public automatically. Is it when charges are filed?
Yeah, they don't necessarily become automatically public, and there's a lot of reasons for that. But anything that's filed with the court, unless the court seals it, and sometimes they do for legitimate reasons regarding victims or some other things, people should be able to walk right down to the courthouse and say, I would like to get the affidavit on such and such a case, and they'd be entitled to it. The media does that all the time.
George, we get this a lot. Multi-jurisdictional problems. It's really hard, especially with contractors.
J. Lopez.
You have just a little all over. What do you do? What do you do? Here's what often happens. They'll take it over there. No, they'll take it over there. No, they'll take it. I mean, who takes it?
It depends. Many times we have to get together with other DAs and say, listen, who's got the bulk of the crimes here, and can you prosecute them all as part of an ongoing criminal enterprise or scheme? We have a crime here in Colorado called COCA, which is a big, heavy hammer for law enforcement to use. It's a second-class felony.
What does it mean?
COCA is the Organized Crime Control Act for Colorado. And if you've got some scheme going on between two contractors that are hopping around in different places, you could prosecute all of those acts in one single jurisdiction. We use that tool quite a bit. It is a big, heavy hammer. A second-class felony could be punishable by up to 24 years in the Department of Corrections. That's a big deal. The other opportunity is the Attorney General's office has a pretty robust consumer affairs and consumer protection section, and they have a statewide grand jury that can kind of gobble up a whole bunch of things. But to prosecute most local crime, almost entirely, they have to go to a DA's office and get permission to come there.
One other thing, another complaint we get, they didn't prosecute. I'll give you an example. Business owner has an employee. The employee writes checks to themselves, and it uses the company credit card. They get pissed off. They want reimbursement. The employee says, screw you. They go to the DA. The DA says, we can't prosecute. After a while, they look into it because this person had apparent authority. Well, it's pretty obvious they don't have authority to buy liquor down at the liquor store or gamble. They have authority in some areas. Can't you use discretion like that to go after them or
Listen,
not?
Absolutely, and I want those cases. What I find more often than not is I'll be at another barbecue or something, and someone will tell me about someone that stole from them, and I'll say, hey, did you call the police? And they're like, nah, we just fired them. And they send the problem on to some other future.
Would you really take it? What if they have authority,
want that case.
If they have authority, this is what one DA said to this guy. Well, you know, they kind of had authority, but it's pretty obvious they didn't have authority to buy $2,000 in liquor.
That's absolutely right. No, I want those cases. Now, there may be somewhere we say, hey,
do they call the police first and that kind of stuff?
Absolutely. Call the police first.
Okay.
And then hopefully the police take a look at it.
And if they don't, then they can go to you. But you want them to call police first, and I don't blame you. I mean, if crimes are committed, call the police.
The problem here is if we pass the buck, that's just a future crime victim out there that's going to hire this dude or dudette without knowing that they're prone to stealing. I want them marked with a criminal prosecution.
What does the policeman say after they go out to something in that example? So they take the report.
Yep.
Who does it go to? Who do they bring it to?
Police have detectives. Almost every police department in our jurisdiction has a police department, has a detective, other than maybe the town marshal in Hugo or something. They should work up the case. If they can't work up the case, they should be calling our office and saying, got one for you. We have an economic crime unit that is filled with just experts that do this kind of stuff.
We're going to start feeding stuff. And you know, okay. So
we got a pipeline.
Yeah. And Jeffco has been pretty good. I think of all of you guys, Jeffco seems to be the most aggressive with consumer stuff. But the Parker Police Department.
The city of Parker.
The city of Parker, for some reason, those police guys are pretty hip when it comes to consumer stuff. And Lakewood.
Dave King runs a great shop, and just as a shout-out to them and for you, Dave King's the chief of police for Parker.
That's why, maybe.
We have hired 4 of our last, I think, 6 investigators we've hired. We've stolen away from Parker.
Okay. And then Lakewood seems to have a good handle.
Lakewood's
or they used to.
Great,
Lakewood
great
Police.
Department. Great
okay.
Department.
Why is El Paso so crime-ridden?
First off, El Paso is crazy expanding, right? Like, their population is blowing up. They're more populous than Denver right now, and it's over a much larger geographic area. They have 2 main law enforcement agencies that work it, which is kind of unique for a big county like that, Colorado Springs and El Paso. I don't know if it's a reflection of the community or the fact that they are dealing with so many different things. They're the bridge between southern Colorado, which has far less resources and a lot more issues, and the metro area. They have 2 really high-profile, well-functioning law enforcement agencies.
Now,
there's a lot of turnover. We saw some bad publicity out of their local paper down there on people fired left and right.
Was there a DA King Paul? Was there?
Paul King is our chief judge in Douglas. He used to be a prosecutor inside our office a long time ago.
But he didn't work under you, wasn't he?
No, he didn't work under me.
I'm going to give you a case that happened, and I helped the consumer. The consumer rents a videotape when VCRs were. And this goes along with an email I got on ridiculous prosecutions. What can you do? Okay, so because many times, like I said, you get a big crime and you get a contractor, they're not prosecuted. But this is where King told us they put the highest priority on storekeepers and merchants who call and report customers. At the time, he said that. He said, well, they want to prosecute. This guy rented a VCR. And he brought it back, and they called him up, the sheriff's department, and arrested him, literally, for destruction of that visa, for stealing the tape. And
I thought you were going to say for not rewinding it.
He said he returned it. He said he returned it. But the store owner showed us, when we got involved, and everyone, that there was a different movie inside this tape. Inside, it wasn't the original movie. And so then I did on camera what this consumer would have had to have done. He would have had to take apart a cassette. Oh, it's major. The springs and the little plastic parts and the screws. Back then, he would have had to take out the tape, put an original tape in. That's what he said, a blank tape. And then put that new movie in that other case. It was just ridiculous. So I told Mr. King, he actually met with me in my office, and I said, do you honest to God believe that this guy went through all this trouble for this movie? They were prosecuting him. And then they said they offered a plea bargain. The guy said, I don't have a criminal record. I am not going to plea bargain. I don't want a theft on my record. Okay? It was ridiculous. And so this guy says, what can I do? And I said, I don't know. The storekeeper we went to, he says, he stole from me, he's going to pay. And then at the time I said, I used the word discretion. Don't you have any discretion doing this? He says, not when a store owner is insisting on prosecution. I didn't know if that was true or not, but this was a bad...
What happened?
Okay. I took the tape and had somebody good in electronics look at the tape, because this guy... And then I asked for, as part of the case, we subpoenaed, not me, I didn't do anything, his attorney, we got him the attorney, subpoenaed the guy who had rented it before. The guy who rented it before, this is not a court case, but we went and talked to him because he was going to be subpoenaed, I should say. He said, oh yeah, I rented that and it didn't work. And in the middle of it, he said, I actually took it apart. I wanted to see this movie so well. And I put it back together.
Oh, boy.
I said, you put it back together? He says, yeah. And I said, did you tell the guy? He says, no, I dropped it off at night. I said, okay. So here's what happens. I take that tape, knowing that the guy took it apart, and I said, what could he have done? I take the tape, and I flip it over. He had it on the wrong side. The movie was still there.
Oh,
but listen to this. So I said, now, obviously, the case is going to be dismissed, right? I mean... And he said, well, I'm not sure. Now, I just don't know why sometimes people get... He said, we're not sure if the store owner will accept this as...
Because he dug in, that's why.
Anyway, I just wonder about...
So was it dropped?
I didn't mean
Was it dropped?
I didn't mean to piss off the chief judge. It was dropped. But I want to know about storekeepers and shoplifting, because if we get, how many complaints, we get a lot of complaints about people who've never had a criminal record, and all of a sudden they find shoplifting, people arrest them, and it's either something stupid or innocent. They went to bring back a lipstick one time and exchange it, and so they were going to go find the lipstick, and they were going to take it to the Albertsons checkout, and then bring the other one out and show, and she had the receipt for the other one. The guy said she has lipstick in her purse. Yes, but that's the one I'm going to exchange, and here's the receipt. And he made up some cockamamie story like she brought the receipt in on purpose from a previous purchase in order to steal one. And they make people either pay a fine or they make them plea bargain. And I'm serious. I'm not just making this up. And I don't ever have you involved ever in one of these, but I want to know if there's some higher level to the business community after this.
you ever been accused of shoplifting?
No.
Why? Because you've never shoplifted. Right? I find, like that whole lipstick one, you don't think she possibly did plan it out?
Well, she had a receipt, and she had the lipstick in her purse. Yeah, right after this, we're going to say goodbye to her.
Oh, okay.
Hey, got an update on that case?
Yeah.
It says we just got notified from Federal by his mental health thing, so it may not end up going to trial.
So then you think he'd plea bargain?
No, if he's insane.
Oh my God, are they thinking he's insane?
Don't know yet. I got to see
God, I knew that kid
But
forever.
if they say that he was insane at the time that he committed it, could be a plea bargain, or in some cases, like we had a girl once out in Aurora who stabbed her mom like 151 times. There's a record for the coroner. I didn't know they kept stats like that, but apparently they do. And so she was charged with murder. And insane, and she was acting really bizarrely. Even in court, you could tell the cameras were there. She was weird, like doing this thing, looking at it. So they sent her down. No, they sent her down to the state hospital, and they shrunk her, is what we call it. And they came back and said, she's insane. They put her on meds, and this is a big indication. When they put you on the right meds, and you are noticeably different, like in a very positive, grounded reality kind of
chemical imbalance somehow.
That combined with her story, which was, and the psychiatrist, I spoke to him on the phone personally, and he said, she's insane. Here's what she thought. She had started to change over time, and the parents noticed it, and they were like, they didn't know. They tried to get her help, but then she's getting wackier and wackier, and in fact, that day, they called for Aurora PD to come out. Aurora PD comes out. And they have guys at Aurora, great agency, that are trained to observe mental health stuff. And they thought that she might do herself harm or something, so these guys come and they ask her
Which is the
questions, and they're like, thinking about doing yourself harm? And one of the answers she gives is, look, if you look like this, would you hurt you? I mean, you know what I mean? And they're like, okay, she seems pretty grounded. And it was later that night that she ends up attacking her mom in the bathroom, stabbing her, and she takes off. So they catch her hiding in the back of a truck in some parking structure. And what she ends up saying, she talks, is she had developed this relationship with a spirit that she could see but no one else could see. And she had these conversations. The spirit was going to help take her when they got to the truck, was going to take her to some power grid in like Utah or Nevada to defend against the devil or something.
Oh, man.
She thinks that it's not her mom she's stabbing. She thinks it's the devil's concubine, in essence.
Yeah.
And that as she's stabbing her, what she's seeing is the fake skin is going away, and she's seeing the scaly skin of the demon, and the knife can't get through it. So that's why she had to continue to plunge the knife harder and harder. Doesn't even think she killed her. So all that stuff, combined with the psychiatrists who were like, she's nuts, and the fact that she was remarkably grounded and sane once they put her on these meds. So we came away feeling like, yep, she's insane.
That's like
so
Yates
we
stuff.
kind of rolled over on the plea is what we would call it, and we made the psychiatrist come in, testify. She then gets committed to the state hospital until such time as doctors are willing to
Where
say
is it?
she's no longer. Well, Colorado Mental Health Institute for Pueblo. Yeah, down in Pueblo. And they'll keep treating her and monitoring her until, and I think San Carlos is another mental health related prison. And someday, man, people could come back and say, John Hinckley, man, she's good to go to be put back on the street.
Yeah, he's out in Florida right now. Isn't that incredible? He shot the president, and the guy's walking around Florida, but.
Right. And some people actually say Pueblo.
Yep, you say Pueblo.
Pueblo.
If you're down there, you should
Oh,
say Pueblo.
my parents are from Holly, and they.
Yeah. And
Pueblo
Buena Vista.
And
I grew up Buena Vista.
La Junta.
Yeah.
I would say try to get up.
And Parkier.
And
You know
flight
what-
attendants. Yeah.
You know what La Quinta means?
La Quinta?
La Quinta.
Next to Denny's.
I had a joke to follow up on that, and I'm losing it.
If you guys come across someone you trust that can take a look at this dishwasher and say, yeah, it's fixable or it is dead.
I think you'd be insane trying to clean it.
And I just don't know. And maybe the guy gets there and he looks at it and goes, you are screwed.
Well, we have appliance factory. They'll tell you. But then you're $100 into a call.
Probably just get it over the phone.
Oh,
Jensen Appliance.
Jensen Appliance. Who else
They're
do
on
we have?
our,
Don't we have another one that just
We
started?
got a couple.
Wait, we have a few. Hold on.
Yeah.
We have another good
Jensen, I think, would tell you over the phone, but make sure they understand it. Was there anything left?
Okay, Al's Appliance.
Was there a
number?
Okay,
Al's Appliance might be the one.
Candle was still there.
Give him the number for Al. Hold on.
Who discovered it?
I don't want him to call just one.
No.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
You're gonna
Don't
replace.
call just one. I think
Al's the other one.
Al's Appliance.
Here, I'll see right here.
Or is it on oh, this one?
Yeah, the back there, that's Jensen.
Tom Martino here. Welcome to the show. Art of Granite.
If you're looking for countertops, Art of Granite, direct stone importer, Art of Granite. I love the guy, Mitch Floria, Art of Granite. And he is a very busy man, but you know what he does? Gives prices on the phones. Listen, he doesn't try to give you a hard sell. You give him measurements and a photo, he'll give you a price. That's what I love. And that price is real. I mean, within a few $100s, depending on the actual countertop material you pick, granite, quartz, other solid surface. If you stick to what you told him on the phone, it's going to be within $100. Sinks, custom edges, cabinets, small markup from the manufacturer. Get a price on the phone. If you like it, then you go to the showroom, pick out $59.19. Get a price on the phone, artofgranite.net. We love the guy. All right, so we have Mark Stutz coming up from Excel Energy to talk about, he's the spokesperson, one of them for Excel. We're talking about power outages. George Brockler, we have to say goodbye to. We promised we'd get him out of here, and he's a very busy man. District Attorney for the
real quick, though.
18th Judicial District. Yes, quick.
Real quick. At risk. What age is that in your zone?
Yeah, it's not just age either.
It's not just age. Intellectual ability is true, too. We just changed the law to bump her up to 70. I think before that it was 48. No, it wasn't. I'm kidding. It wasn't 48 because that's me. No, we bumped it up to 70, and it's right.
Now I got to wait another 5 years.
It's an intellectual limitations can also be at risk, and we see that all the time as well.
But over 70 for sure.
Oh yeah.
Even if they're intellectually sound.
Even if they're
is what he's saying.
Like Tom, I assume when he hits that age will be okay.
No, but
he won't be at risk. I'm not kidding.
It's not either or. It's one or the other, right? I mean, it's not either or. You can be 70 or older, or you can have an intellectual
Yes, that's right. Something interesting, we talked about judges earlier. Do you know in the state of Colorado, we have a mandatory when you turn 72, you must get off the bench.
Good.
It seems, though, like I know a lot of people, like my dad, who's sharp as a tack.
Yeah. It's not so much the age. I think we need new blood.
It's like airlines.
Okay, now look, if we were talking term limits for judges, I'm fully on board because that's what that's about. But you got someone who's been practicing law for 40 years. They get on the bench when they're 68.
Yeah, I guess I know
That's it. They're gone. We say you're 72. Can't trust your judgment.
So what about prosecutions? Have you seen in your time, just as a prosecutor in general, or even as an attorney, have you seen ridiculous prosecutions?
I've seen look, I was a defense attorney, too, for some years, from about 2006 to 2012. Yeah. Listen, as a prosecutor, I think the worst feeling ever would be I did something wrong. Like I went after the wrong person for a crime, or I went after a person too harshly. It's why we have to have this competitive adversarial system from defense attorneys.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
No, not at all. Want it. Gotta have it.
You need to have it.
Gotta have it.
People say, why do you defend that scumbag? And you know what Joe Lazara said that I loved? He's a criminal defense attorney. He says, I'm not defending that guy. I'm defending the system. He really is. Because if he doesn't keep you on your toes, or any prosecutor, it could be bad.
That's true, and Joe's a good fella. I think the important part is that if you don't have someone on the other side either challenging the conduct of law enforcement or bringing forward information that you don't know, it could be by way of mitigation, it could be by way of exculpation, which is he didn't do it. Gotta have that, right?
Have you had criminal defense attorneys that do such a good job investigating that you guys, before you go to trial, you realize that maybe it was the wrong charge, or maybe they shouldn't be charged at all, or some kind of negotiated settlement?
Absolutely true. In fact, the ones that frustrate me the most are the ones, and it's typically the public defender's office, God bless them, they're great at what they do, that will hang on to some piece of evidence until they get into trial, and then, ha-ha!
And when that happens, and you said I would have.
I'm like, dude, why didn't you come tell us that months ago?
Are they trying to make a name? Is that the deal?
No, I think their goal is to, one, they are the fly in the ointment all the time. They do not like the system at all. And so their goal is they want to win. But two, they want to get in there once the jury's been sworn, jeopardy attaches, and they want to. And I think for some of them, they are bred to be mistrustful of every
I assume
DA.
you worked in that office at one point.
Not the public
No,
defender's office.
never?
I was private
Assistant.
defense counsel.
Okay.
I was private.
But here's what I want to know about that's a good one, because people do call about public defenders and they say, well, I'm stuck with a public defender.
No, they're good.
In reality, yeah, that's what I was going to say. You should not feel like you're stuck with
Listen,
somebody.
Colorado has the best trained, best funded public defender system maybe in the country. These guys are making more than their DA counterparts in probably 70% of Colorado. They're very aggressive. They're very smart. You know, I wish they would change the way they do some business things, but other than that, you know.
All right. What are your closing words? You got to go. Whatever. What do you have?
Listen, I think that people make a mistake when they see something bad or something bad happens to them and they shrug and say, I shouldn't make the effort to call the man or law enforcement because I don't think they'll do anything. Let us know. Give us the opportunity to do the right thing or hold us accountable when we don't. But I don't want us to just pass the buck or kick the can down the road.
Or not say, hey, they're not going to do anything
no,
anyway.
I don't want to hear that. I want us to be held accountable if we're not going after things we should. But give us the chance to hold people accountable.
George Brockler, and of course, the number, he'll give us the number and we'll give it out throughout the show and, of course, in the future. We want to try to do this throughout the state. Thank you very much, George.
Thanks for having me on.
Now,
thanks, Northcom.
Now, Mark with XL Energy, I'm hoping he can hold on just a few minutes. We'll come right back to him and all of your calls coming up. Please stay tuned. This is very, very important. As well as, of course, we were talking about criminal defense. Joe Lazzara, we talked about and why he does what he does, and it is a fact. You need a defense attorney. If you're accused of anything, please don't try to go it alone, and especially if you get a DUI, please, even if you learned your lesson, you still have to get through the system, and I hope you learn your lesson. There's never an excuse to drink and drive. LazzaraLegal.com, 303-429-6200.
Yeah.
If you want.
I like him, man.
Yeah,
I like
George's
his personality. I like
He's straight.
his whole deal.
He's just straight. There's nothing, no two ways about it.
And he doesn't come off phony baloney, man.
When we establish these relationships, it's going to be good to have that going forward. When we have these frustrating cases when people are getting ripped. God, I hate it. This thing with I-25 roofing really bothered me. You know?
Rollover crash from this morning still being investigated.
I, on my end,
Your watch out for the rest of the day.
You know, we never updated it.
Mostly sunny today, breezy, red flag warning, high of 68. Right now, cloudy and 51. With your traffic and weather, I'm Pete Wagner, 630 KHOW.
The Flight Control District of the 7-county metro area.
Every time I hear this commercial, I think they say the Flight Control District. It's the flood control. They say it so fast. Okay, so.
I've known the owner of Fix It 24/7 for more than 30 years.
I can hardly get this one in, so that's why.
Very best service at the very best price.
Who is
Fix
it?
It 24/7.
It's Fix It, because he's been on twice so far, I got this live one. Yeah.
Experienced, background checked, drug screened, and you can get them in your home for just $39 to diagnose any problem you have. You know it won't cost you more than $39.
I can't believe that kid on
estimate of all the work needed. And if you have the work done, they'll waive the $39.
They say schizophrenia, along with drugs, would kick up usually in the 20s, so I guess that would put it there.
And it's just
if you're prone to it.
$9. They'll treat your home.
His brother was a little
you
weird, but
find better service, better prices.
No, man.
So if you have any problems, no heat.
I can't imagine anybody shooting their own father in the face to kill him.
Of course not.
That's crazy. I never want.
Why do you accept that? Why do you accept that, Dan? I'm surprised that you're shooting your father. He says
so you're saying
he says it depends.
I said, did you go visit him?
Just like he loved that other thing, you know. Every time we get a bad guy, you know, he's.
You know, he loads the plane
backwards.
backwards.
What's that one I gave you shit about all this stuff?
So did he rob his dad at San Diego? Was there something else going on when he did it?
I really did think about what you said, loading that plane. It is ridiculous. We were in Zone 3 coming back, and they loaned Zone 1 and Zone 2 first, so you got to fight through the entire place. God, Frontier has become a fucking city bus.
Oh,
it's the worst freaking airline. It went from like the best to the worst.
The damn tickets are $39 though. I mean, it's like, okay, But the seats are literally like metal. If you look at the back of them, they're metal, and then they just have a little layer over them. It's terrible. It's so terrible. It is like a city bus, man. I don't need a good city bus like Castle Rock. I mean a bad city bus. El Paso city bus.
iHeartMedia is 630 KHOW and over 850 other radio stations across the country. And iHeartMedia
at least it's a fast flight.
If sales is your industry and you have a track record
Las
of success,
Vegas.
log on to
Way back, that pilot had us back in 70 minutes, man. 70 minutes.
Customers calls from your personal phone. But with Grasshopper, you get a business phone number.
Legion airs all over the news now too.
So you can work
Another low cost one about not doing repairs.
The worst I've ever flown is the yellow and black one. I think they're called
Spirit.
Spirit. You know how you can have a personal item? So the personal item, unlike any other airline, Spirit's personal item is smaller in dimensions than any other airline.
He have to run, but he said, thank you so much.
You know
I
what it
would
is?
come back anytime.
It's because you're just carrying your
He
chicken.
wanted to give you this.
You're taking Spirit
The hot sauce.
Oh, Frontier,
And look what it says.
if you carry it,
This is Tom. Because that's why I chose
No,
that.
but your personal item can
That's
still
right.
only be X by
What a
X.
great
It's got
guy.
to fit under the seat.
And I told him about
A carry-on can be almost 3 times bigger, and it only fits over it.
But it
Oh
costs
my gosh, I
more
wanted
to
to call
carry
it.
on than it does
So,
to check.
very exciting. What a great guy.
Yeah, which is always weird.
Very exciting.
You're right with that, though. And they say their
All right.
justification
Do you need a cup of
well, who
coffee or
cares?
anything?
It's profit.
Are you good? Do you need anything? Can I get this?
Is that lady still on as far as a ring?
Is this your water?
Hold on.
Okay.
Hold on. Ding, 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 ding.
Oh,
Aren't you used to hearing the
Yes,
the ding, ding, ding,
I would
ding?
love another one, and I'm never going to be mean.
Stewardess, I would love some coffee, please, with some cream. Ding, ding,
What an
ding, ding.
So you would like the cup
See, I'm one of those guys that as soon as they leave, I turn it back on. Ding, 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 ding.
So do you want a cup of coffee?
Please. Thank you.
Hi, Tom Martino here. Let's go to Mark Stutz. Excel
Energy outages. Now listen, you know, you can't get pissed off at a power company when trees fall on lines. You can't. I just have a few issues about it. I might be ignorant, Mark, but we don't have in today's technology a way to work around where you can isolate it to as few houses as possible and get power to other people in the neighborhood. Again, it could be my ignorance of the system, but that is a question we've had more than once. Well, yeah, it's down the street, I can see, but it was one service line we saw that was broken, and why couldn't they just disconnect that house and let everyone else have something? Why would it possibly take 48 hours? Sir.
Hey, good morning, Tom. Actually, we do have exactly what you are describing, but it's all to a certain degree. I mean, a typical transformer behind your house, for example, may serve anywhere up to a dozen, 2 dozen customers. A larger device that might be in between, a certain area might serve up to 200 or 300 houses. So it's exactly what we do. Actually, is when we have a large outage like this with several 100,000 customers or several 10,000 customers, we work the larger systems first. So if we can repair one outage that puts 2,000 or 3,000 people back in, absent things like hospitals or other critical infrastructure, that's the thing we put back in first. But there does come a point where we don't have individual service to each individual house. You're going to be part
obviously, but
you're going to be part of some larger system that may serve 12 homes or 100 homes or 500 homes, and if it happens to be that particular location where a tree falls into the line, there's going to be an outage there.
Okay, but
the system's really robust. I mean, it is really
Do you have
robust in
extra
terms of
people you put on? Do you work around the clock when people don't have power? I mean, we're talking about refrigerators being ruined to food. We're talking about things. Of course, you're not responsible for that. But is there? Do you guys truly work around the clock?
Yeah, absolutely, Tom. We've had more than 300 people out there since this storm started, and we've called in mutual assistance from utilities in other states. Obviously, we couldn't get mutual assistance from within Colorado because other utilities were working their own restoration efforts from the wind. But we have crews in from Kansas and Oklahoma and other parts of the country who come in and help us out, just as we send crews out to help them out when they have a tornado or bad weather. So there are, 300, a steady amount of 300 people or so out there working to restore service as quickly as possible.
All right. The numbers on the map I happened to look at the map because we got a complaint. And I said, well, of course, they blow down the tree. I mean, give them a break. Well, they weren't complaining about that. It said 3 people, customers, were impacted. And I'm counting on my block alone 20. So what is it? Is it who complains, or how do you get those numbers on those blackouts? This guy thought they're purposely making it sound lower so people don't rally.
Well, what the customer may not understand is you have different devices. You and I could live across the street from each other and be on completely different systems. So it may very well be that his outage was caused by something that's happening on his side of the street. But as he looks down the street and sees a line down across the way, whatever the case may be, without knowing the exact address, I really can't describe it. You could be on different systems, different feeds, different redundancies, and so we've all had that experience where we've been out for a couple hours and our neighbors across the street have their lights on.
No, but why would the map say only a few customers?
Because it's identifying a specific device related to his home.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
It's identifying a device related to his home, and it may have nothing to do with what he's seeing down the street.
So even though it says only 2 houses or 2 customers in this blackout in this whole neighborhood,
it may just be within that particular several houses, obviously. And the ones across the street where there's another 10 or 15 out could be on another different system, another different device.
So that would show up on another badge somewhere.
Right. The neighbor would put in their address and they'd get a different number.
Okay. All right. Now, what is the current situation, the state of the union right now in Denver Metro? Here's one thing I noticed, Mark. People want to just know that you know. Did you ever get that? It's like they just want to make sure you know and they're not being left out. I know this from all the calls we get. So what do you do?
Well, certainly we still encourage people to call us when they're out because it helps give us more information. So even if you think your neighbor's called, it never hurts for you to call us and tell us you're without power. Hey, Tom, we had about 137,000 customers that got hit by this windstorm since Tuesday. And to be honest, about half of those were actually sustained outages, about 67,000, where you have more than a flicker or a couple minutes. As of this morning, we were down to about 431. We have close to 300 employees still out there working it. But the bad news is we're getting a little bit more wind this afternoon. So, we're planning for that too. But yeah, about 137,000 affected. About 67,000 of those had long outages, and we're down to under 500.
I appreciate you coming on. All power should be restored, within a day?
We'll be done by today, but remember, there's always new things coming.
All right. I want to tell everyone on hold, please, John, Nick, especially Lisa and Bruce, I promise to take you right after the break quickly.
If you want to goose them, that'd be great.
Back in Minnesota on the farm, they buried the power lines in 1963.
Where?
In Minnesota. Wow. It's 1963.
That's huge capital there to do that.
Right. That was on the country because they get big, storms up there in the wintertime and everything. But I can't even remember a power outage.
Especially rural and cold environment, they don't want to be prone to.
Plus, you get floods all the time. But I mean, why did they do that around here and stuff? I mean, that's a big deal to have buried power lines and stuff because they get a lot of wind here.
My old office used to be on Hampton, and there's a little bump out that the seat office tried to make some changes on the street, and I was on a committee for Hampton business owners. And we kept asking why don't use that space, and he said, we got to bury the power lines, we don't want to pay for that.
Oh, really?
It's so expensive. And then they had to move other utilities too.
After the news on 630 KHOW, an iHeart radio station, KHOW Denver.
Counterfeit pills killed Prince. Lisa Brady, Fox News.
Listen, guys.
Minnesota said they still don't know where the pills came from, so there isn't enough evidence to charge anyone.
What would be in them? No, because when you're trying to get, thank you, dear, this one, when you're trying to get illegal drugs. What was he? Mark, when you try to get drugs, painkillers. Wasn't it the Michael Jackson stuff again? Rohypnol, not Rohypnol. Rohypnol's,
Propofol. That's it.
Propofol. Rohypnol is what?
The date rape one?
Yeah, the date rape one. The Mickey.
A doctor accused of illegally prescribing OxyContin to Prince, not related to his death. agrees to a 5-figure fine. Lisa.
Jeff, thanks. Philadelphia's police commissioner is apologizing for 2 black men arrested at a Starbucks.
I got to tell you,
Starbucks is going to lose a lot of money, boy.
a lot. Well, first of all, their stock hasn't been hit, but not too much. But 28, they're closing 28,000 stores on Thursday for training, and I'm like, that's where they're losing a lot of money.
Right.
But it's amazing to me as I'm going through Vegas. You land at the airport, there's a Starbucks. You get to the front of the casino, there's a Starbucks. You get to any other casino, there's a Starbucks. You take an Uber from one casino to another casino, there's 5 Starbucks on the way, and then there's 2 in the next casino. I started thinking, holy shit, this stuff's more addictive than cigarettes, I think.
Well, they're just filling the void left over from tobacco, really.
It's crazy, man.
Well, people don't realize, oh, this is only costing me $3.50, or this is only costing me $4.
Bullshit, that shit's like $5 a drink.
Depending on what you get. You know, so, but what I'm saying is people look at...
How many people go up seriously at Starbucks and go, they're like, here's what I ordered, literally. I ordered the darkest coffee you got, and then I put cream in it. But most people are like, blah, 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 like Tom and his girly drink, blah, 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 blah. And it's like $8. What does Tom order at Starbucks?
And how much is it?
Oh, God, I have no idea. He has
How
to send it to me in a text.
How much is it?
It's so freaking long.
Is it $8?
Yeah, it's expensive.
But it's cheaper to smoke and probably healthier now.
You can get a whole pack for $10.
Yeah. And it lasts you a few days.
Hey, Mark.
Crazy.
I took some of these for down in the office.
28,000
And tripped over a trash can.
stores are closing. And that's not even all their stores.
I wish they'd go broke, man.
They ain't going broke.
No.
What is your coffee order?
Or is it tea?
No, it's not tea. What is your coffee
Okay, it
order?
used to be a Quad Grande sugar-free vanilla, Quad Grande sugar-free vanilla breve latte with 3 sprinkles. And you said, and Stephanie I talked about it last night. She told the people at the table, and Mark said, do they serve tampons with that? Now I get a Grande breve green tea latte with 2 sprinkles.
The question, though, on either one, what's the average drink cost, do you think? $8 on those?
Mine are 6.
Okay.
Or
What do you think
between 5 and 6.
What do you think the average Starbucks customer is? 28,000 stores they have. I was telling them, you land in the airport, Starbucks. You go to a casino, 2 Starbucks. You take an Uber from one to another, you pass 5 Starbucks, and there's 2 in the next casino.
It astounds me. Honest to God, I can't believe it.
They must be putting something in that coffee, man. It's going to be like the tobacco companies all over
I think
again.
it's another status thing, too. People like to...
Not me. I like having. I feel better with cheap coffee.
No,
I feel like I got ripped off.
Yeah, I don't like their, actually, I don't really like their coffee. Honest to God, I don't. I call it charbo. I like the idea that they make any flavor, anything you want. I love the green tea. I'm hooked on this freaking green tea, and I got to get off it because, I drink so much of it.
McDonald's is $1 any size coffee.
2 all beef patty special Southwest.
Pickles, onions on a sesame seed.
Oh, I knew that years ago, guys.
No, I know, but that's just like the people. It's a grande. What'd you call your thing? It's almost like when you put out the order with 3 splendid. You know, it's like 2 all beef patty special sauce.
How long do you think it takes to learn how to be a barista and handle all of those?
Right. What did you say? What did you say?
What's your name?
And then you get mad that they can't spell your name right.
I'm the guy, if they spell it wrong, I won't accept it. Take it back.
I want it free. I want it free.
Really.
My name's wrong.
I don't go to Starbucks at all.
I just can't believe how many there are. There's not one little mini. Okay, Castle Rock. Castle Rock, like every King Soopers has one. Then there's 2 or 3 freestanding. And then I swear there's another one.
You want worse? Go to Seattle.
Everywhere. Well, they have Seattle's back, or are they Starbucks now?
They were Starbucks was the first one. You go to Seattle, even back 15 years ago.
Like every
they were
block.
everywhere.
That's amazing. They're doing something we don't know.
The commercial realtor.
If you can, I'm feeling down. Hello, I'm Tom Martino. This is the Troubleshooter Show. This hour brought to you by Ideal Home Loans for your next ideal home loan. We got a lot going on. I'm going to get right to the phones. I just want to tell people this is a show where we help people. Okay? We recover money. Millions of dollars in cash, merchandise, exchanges, refunds, and services. When we can help, we get directly involved. If not, we still get involved in some way, shape, or form, or just give you advice at the very least. Welcome. On Facebook, on YouTube, and of course on our beautiful radio station, our flagship, KHOW in Denver, 630 on the AM dial. And, okay, if you're ever in from out of town and you're a podcast listener, you have an open invitation to come in the studio and observe the show. Brent Ivinson, Ideal Home Loans. Let's talk, okay? You're getting ready to buy a house, right? Okay. So, really, I always tell people this. Shop for a loan first. Otherwise, you could waste your time and be disappointed. Brent.
Well, that's right. You know, you want to do your homework up front. You want to get the loan process started ahead of time. And here's the thing. If we've got time to work with credit, if we have time to work with down payment, if we have time to work with income, loan programs, loan products, we have a lot more ability to maximize how much home you're getting for your payment each and every month. And we can work backwards from a payment that you can afford. But more importantly, if we can refine and tweak some of these small details, we might qualify you for much more home going through this process and doing some work up front before you go out and start looking for a property.
That's easy. All you do is shop with Ideal, get your number, and then go out and find the house and maximize your buying ability. It's also, if you do the pre-approval, it's like a cash deal because you can close. I mean, you're already approved. 303-867-7000.
Hey, Brent, I heard something, or actually I read an article on CNBC.
I hope he's still there. Go ahead.
That it is getting easier to qualify for a house. In other words, the banks are loosening the noose. Is that true?
You know, it has a little bit. Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac both adjusted late last year their qualifying ratios, so meaning how much debt you could carry to qualify for a new home, from 45% to 50%. So there is some easing that we're seeing, and definitely there's still a little ways to go in terms of the tightening that we saw, but I also think that for people looking to buy, if you didn't qualify 3 or 4 months ago, call, because chances are you may qualify now.
Excellent. So, 303-867-7000. Let's go. I'm going to go strictly by people who've been waiting the longest, and Lisa is one of them. Go ahead, Lisa. I'm so sorry for the wait. I hope I can help you after all this time. What's going on, dear?
Hey, Tom. Thanks
Hi.
for taking my call.
Yes, Lisa.
Well, I've been in litigation because I purchased a home in 2007 in Colorado Springs.
Okay.
And the previous owner stated that there was no encroachment. Checked that list, no encroachment. And then in 2016, the owner of the property behind me, it's owned by a corporation. There was a businesswoman that went out of business. They got that land in a settlement, and then they came directly after me and filed suit for me being on their property.
Okay, so wait. What is the encroachment? What is it?
Yeah, where is it in this picture?
Like, what is it? I don't understand from this photo.
Okay, well...
Or any of the photos.
Okay, well, in summary, the encroachment is no longer the issue. We've settled. I was basically sold a house with a yard. I was basically sold a house with a yard and then came to find out that
she didn't have a survey done.
All right, so you...
They didn't have an ILC done.
An improvement survey, right?
Yeah, that would indicate the outbuilding.
Okay, so when did you buy the house, Lisa?
2007.
Okay, in
October.
07, you bought a home, and at the time you bought the home, there was an issue at that time?
I don't think the previous owner had any idea or knew.
Well, okay.
And I don't think that the
So they came after you. Who came after you exactly? What entity?
Well, I don't want to mention it because we're in litigation.
Well, just tell me, I mean, who was it? Was it the owner of the home? Was it a contractor?
No.
Who came after you?
There's a big open space behind the house that's owned by a large corporation.
And that large corporation came after who?
Me.
And they came after you. They came after you for encroachment. That encroachment, you said they had acquired that property when?
Only about a year before. So
how did they acquire the property? Was it through some kind of adverse possession?
No. Actually, I qualify for all the criteria.
How did this big corporation acquire that property?
They acquired it from a businesswoman that went out of business and owed them money. So in her
In
they
her
acquired
settlement.
this piece of land.
And the piece
behind
of
my
land.
house.
What is this piece of land? What is it? I mean, like I'm not getting these pictures, Suzanne.
I think she had an outbuilding, and it was on the outbuilding. Is that correct? Or the
okay,
deck?
so
What is it?
There's a big open space behind the house.
I understand. I see
actually
that in the photograph, okay? There's an open, or I thought I saw it, but one of the pictures did not come through. So you have a big open space. The corporation took that open space or took part of your property that you didn't know they took. I understand. And how much were you encroaching?
Well, if you look at the picture, you can see the hot tub and the deck, and apparently I only own 13 feet out of my back door, and the builder probably never should have been permitted to build.
Now, last year, when this was happening, when they acquired it, where were you? You owned that house. Why didn't you know about this?
Because an ILC was never done, and
Well, that's your fault. I can't believe that the lender didn't require it, but...
Well, I think it's the realtor's fault because the previous owner sat on this, and as my
It's not the
attorney
realtor's
said,
fault. I mean, your bank, it's no one's fault. It's your fault, if anyone. You're the one that has to insist on a survey, but the lenders, see, lenders usually do this for you. They insist on everything you need, the boundaries, the meets and boundaries, and the improvement survey. But did you have a lender involved?
I did.
I'm shocked they didn't ask for this. But if we can't find a bad guy, Lisa. But I don't understand this. While you owned this, it was from the very beginning on a piece of property, even if that big corporation didn't own it, the woman who granted it to the big corporation owned it, right? What was it? That's what I'm asking. What was this piece of property the woman owned that she gave away in a settlement? What was it? I mean, was it a patch of land? Was it a lot? Was it a swath of land? What was it? What kind of land?
We'll call it a swath of land.
Okay. Why did she happen to own this swath of land?
She's a developer in town. She owns
Did
land
she develop
everywhere.
did she develop where you are, where you live?
I think her intent was to build some high-end homes back there because it backs up to
How much land?
Pike's Forest.
How much land? A lot.
Let me just
Okay,
Let
listen.
me explain something else.
Yeah.
The corporation owns a lot of land back there, but she owned this little piece in between my house and theirs. And she owed them money because they do a lot of building sort of thing, cement, that sort of thing. I don't really want to say much more. So she owed them a lot of money, so in the settlement, they received that piece of land.
Okay,
so
that's fine. Now, here's the deal. What do you want?
If it's been that way 18 years,
yeah.
adverse possession, but she's still got to pay for it.
First of all,
no,
not necessarily. You don't necessarily pay for adverse possession. I don't know though, Mark, if when you
that's not the issue.
Lisa, since we bring up topics and many people listen, I just want to talk about that so people don't get false impressions. Adverse possession is just that. They take adverse possession. But I'm not sure. It's a very difficult thing to prove, Mark, when ownership changes, because she personally did not adversely possess this. And did she get the right to inherit the adverse possession previously? Some courts have ruled no, that you don't get to rely on what the previous owners did. But in any case, Lisa, you're saying that's not apropos. Why?
Okay. This picture I sent you was on the flyer in the front yard. They sold me a house with a deck, with that open walkway, with a retaining wall.
But it was in 07.
They didn't even own the deck.
It doesn't matter. It was in 07. It's beyond the statute of limitations. It's over. It doesn't matter. I mean,
it does matter because I've had to repurchase my backyard. We're in settlement, and I'm in $10,000 in debt.
Okay, Lisa, I'm not saying it doesn't matter in life. I truly feel for you. Honest to God, it's terrible. What I'm saying is, you don't have, I believe, you can't go after them because even if they did sell you something that they did not own, it was in 2007. There are statutes of limitation. You've heard of that, right?
I still think that there is someone that's responsible for this because it was a fraudulent sale.
Lisa, there is.
How long is the insurance good? How long is the title insurance good for?
Mark, you know what? That is a very, very good point on title. However, title does not insure things that are not of record, but you could argue that was of record. We need to look into that. But Lisa, listen carefully to what I'm saying. I understand someone is responsible, okay? They're responsible. But you may not be able to go after them because of the statute of limitations. It doesn't matter what we think. It matters if you can go after them. I am positive you got screwed in this deal. There is no doubt in my mind. But what if most statutes of limitation, most for breach, for fraud, I don't know any that go beyond 7 years. And then 10 years many times for what's called an absolute statute, that no matter what, sometimes it's from the date of discovery. Now this could be one of them. What we need is to find an attorney to ask this to help you. So, Suzanne, what we need to do is get her some solid advice. Suzanne, just, okay, you do.
Siglian.
Now, well, maybe. That's okay. We need someone also adept at real estate. And I'm thinking if we can call a title company just for
here's
advice.
What it says here: the title policy, or I'm sorry, the lender's policy of title insurance lasts as long as the mortgage is paid.
No, I know it does.
And the owner's policy as long as they have an interest in the property.
No, I understand that. Whether or not, though, it's a title issue.
Because it's not even there.
Right. It could be, but all they insure in title
is what's in there.
Is your title. I know it sounds weird, but they insure your title, and what they're insuring is not the title itself, but the title search. They are ensuring that they searched your title and found no clouds.
Or encumbrances.
So
exactly.
if something is not of record, they can't be held responsible for it. I think our best bet, Lisa, might be this. Is this statute of limitations, when is it effective here, and does it expire? Did it expire your claim? Or is it possible that we can make the argument it was from date of discovery? However, what the law says is, and this is what bothers me, and I'm not quoting law as in a lawyer, I'm saying what the law recognizes is it's from when you discovered or should have discovered it. I think any defense attorney, if you went after them, said you should have discovered it when you bought it because you should have insisted on a survey. And Lisa...
So, how about other homes, though? Like, does your neighbor have the same issue?
No, it's the end piece. It backs up to open space, so if it were surrounded by fences, it wouldn't be an issue. But my frustration is I'm not an expert in real estate.
Right.
That is why I got a real estate
But Lisa,
agent
that doesn't
represent me.
okay, but that doesn't necessarily work. It could. Is it a fiduciary responsibility for a real estate broker to recommend a survey? But here is the other argument. Who knows if you would have done it or not?
We had a survey.
What?
We did not have an ILC.
When you say ILC, what do you mean, ILC? What do you mean?
I think that's outbuildings. It's to determine if, like, the deck
I think what you're
and
talking
the retaining wall
about,
and the fence.
that's an improvement survey, okay? I don't know what ILC means. It's an improvement survey. Now, most of the time, they insist at the lending level for an improvement survey, okay? If you did not have an improvement survey, then we have a problem because you didn't have one. If you had a regular survey, you're in trouble because that's when you should have discovered the deck. You could have easily taken a yardstick or a measuring tape and found that you don't have that many feet outside. I need to say, did the survey show that piece of land where the deck is being yours? If not, there's only so much you can argue is ignorance, Lisa. Even though you have been screwed, I agree, I am on your side. In the eyes of the law, it could be that you were negligent because you did not discover it, but you had every tool available to discover it. Hold on, and we'll come back to it. We need to talk to an attorney. I'd love to get comments on this. And maybe, perhaps, Suzanne, we need to reach out to a title company. I've done a lot of work with land title. Maybe they'll come on and talk to us. 303-713-TALK. Pro Auto Care. I just got an email from them saying, hey, dear Tom, according to our records, it's about time you do this, this, and this. I love it. I call them my car nanny because that's what they do. Gentle reminders. They keep track of my car. And in between every service I have, I am protected with a 36,000-mile roadside assistance. That means in between all of my services. So why don't you go see them also? They have a few spots left, I believe, in their seminar they're having on Saturday, the 21st in Littleton. That's just south of Bowles on Santa Fe. Call for details on that, or call to get your car serviced and to be nanified. 303-PRO-AUTO. That's 303-PRO-AUTO. And find out more about that seminar, 303proauto.com.
This report is brought to you by Lowe's.
Let's start off with the good news. Off-highway.
Okay, so I feel bad, man. This woman, we got the real estate
crash from this morning, so that's some good news there. Back out on the highway.
I don't understand that adverse possession stuff because it's definitely been there a long time. If they switch owners, does that start over again?
You know, I seem to think that I remember the last couple times I bought a house, they asked if we wanted to do a land survey. And I'm pretty sure the realtor disclosed that you should do one, but I think the cost was ridiculous. And I think we declined both times. And you know, it's funny because I think about this like with insurance, and you know, if you don't ask somebody, or if they don't ask for the coverage, you're not going to have it. I mean, it's just like the title. You have a good broker. If you don't do the title, you're not going to. Right. You know, and a lot of people, like the woman with the Mercedes earlier, that, you know, it's unbelievable how many people will call us and they'll want to save some money. And so they'll move the cars to $1,000 deductibles, or maybe some to liability only. They'll drop the roadside, they'll drop the rental car. They're really trying to squeeze it, right? And we spend a lot of time trying to document it, and we always recommend not doing it. But the memory that people have is horrible, because 6 months later they have an accident.
Why didn't I have this?
And then they're mad at you, and they're like, why didn't I have this? You guys suck. No, we had this conversation. You know, here's the email that you agreed to, and it's just. Yeah. So I mean, it sucks. But.
So what are you mostly home, auto, you're everything?
We do everything. Yeah. We some commercial too.
What should you have if you don't have full coverage on a car? You recommend underinsured motorists. Is that as expensive as full coverage if you get underinsured?
No, it's so if you drop the comprehensive in the collision.
Let's not forget it pays for the weird-looking guy over here in the corner.
It's going to drop a lot of the cost, but there's a coverage called uninsured motor's property damage.
But lately he hasn't
been following up on problems like that. It's like $200 on the top of it, like $10
Just
a
off the
year.
phone with you.
What happens is if somebody hits you who doesn't have insurance or doesn't have enough insurance to your car's liability, only it still treats your car like a company. So you still get the value, which is
She's also at the end going to give us, she didn't say anything about it.
Okay.
She is going to give us, you know, the best ways for shipping at the end after we get it all cleared up, and tips for our listeners on how to ship when it's something.
Is she going to come on and explain where the diamond ring is?
She is.
Or why their insurance is worthless?
She has everybody out there researching right now.
187. That's
so she's pulling it together.
Okay.
We're going to have that ring. I'm glad I took this on. This is not a Clint thing.
Clint would have had this handled by now.
Oh, bite me.
Clint has lost a diamond ring with UPS.
Clint worked for UPS, found somebody's diamond ring.
Fix It 24/7. You won't find anyone better doing the same work for the same money. I'm going to let you in on two things. Now listen to them carefully. For $39, your choice of these things. A clean and check of just your furnace, and they'll disassemble it to the extent they can and virtually refurbish it from top to bottom with adjustments and everything for just $39. Now, if they find problems, you'll get a full written report. But you're paying $39 for the clean and check, and the number one killer is dirt. They'll do the same for your air conditioning system, which overlaps a little on the furnace, and that's $39. That's for 10 callers, either the air conditioner or the furnace. Now, that's $39. Or, if you're having problems in addition to, you know, the furnace and air, because if you're having problems with furnace or air, you should do that $39. They'll find it. But if you're having like plumbing issues that don't involve the furnace or the air, or you're not sure, it's $39 to get any problem diagnosed, no matter how long it takes. And then if you want to have the work done, they will do it and credit you the $39, and you'll love it. 720-526-3939. 720-526-3939. It's that easy. FixMyHome.com. Back to Lisa. Okay, Lisa, we're working on getting an attorney to answer some of these questions, and I think our biggest challenge is the time, and our best benefit would be trying to prove it was from the date you should have discovered it. I have a feeling, though, they're going to argue you should have discovered it when you had your survey. Anything to add, Lisa? Are you there?
But under an absolute,
okay. Lisa,
does it matter?
Lisa, so by the way, we're talking for people listening about an encroachment. I mean, she buys a home in 2007, and to do no fault of her own, she finds out that most of her deck and backyard belongs to another piece of property. And, hey, it was that way in 07, and it's that way now. Except the old owner wasn't enforcing it. The new owner is saying, get the hell off our property. Now, here's what I'm wondering. Two things. First, when does the statute of limitation begin tolling, it's called? And the second one is, does she have adverse possession? So we have two things to investigate, Lisa. Would you agree?
Well, I mean, I'm already settling with the owner. I've already spent, I'm close to $20,000 now.
God.
I've spent 17.
Wait a minute. Why? Why didn't you?
Land.
But if
I don't
you
have a backyard.
But if you spent that much money, didn't it ever occur to you you could have maybe gotten out of it? You could have gotten it out of having to pay through adverse possession. A consultation with an attorney may have told you.
The rules have changed here. Adverse possession you generally have to pay for now. Fair market value.
Go ahead.
I fill all the criteria, the 18 criteria for adverse possession. Unknowingly maintained the property.
Right.
Had no idea that this existed, so it's kind of a squatter's right.
Actually, okay, I don't want to debate adverse. Adverse possession has to be knowingly and
keep going
and adversely taking possession. But anyway, keep going.
All parties, my attorney and opposing counsel, agree that they really didn't have a battle in this fight. They were hoping that adverse possession was null and void because they acquired it in an illegal settlement, and that wasn't the case. So basically,
then why didn't you go forward with it?
That's not how my attorney directed me.
Okay. So what did your attorney say to do?
We're getting the. Well, we've spent a lot of money to get the piece of land back, so I have a backyard.
So you're going to buy that piece of land. How much is it?
Well, they want $4,000 for it, but I've been in.
Oh man, but you spent. Here's the problem: they want $4,000 for it, and it costs you $17,000 to get there, right?
Well, yeah, 20 in the end by the time we
why?
do all
Why would attorney's fees be that much? I don't even understand it, Lisa. I think you've been ripped off. I don't know how you can spend that much in legal fees. You didn't even step into a courtroom, did you?
Well, it's before a judge now, but it's not going to court because we're settling. So you know, this is ridiculous. It could happen to anyone.
Right.
You see a fire,
right.
Selling a house, it shows the deck, it shows the fence.
So is your whole thing this? Let me get down to this. So you're, rather than investigate adverse possession and all that, you don't care because you're settling. The bottom line is, can you get reimbursed? Is that what you're looking for now?
Yeah, I believe I can, because I know a number of people that have spoken to different real estate attorneys saying that, you know, my realtor should have represented me and
Lisa,
done an ILC.
What did they say? Listen, I have a head full of people who call me every day who have spoken to someone who spoke to someone who spoke to someone, and I'm telling you, Lisa, the statute of limitations cannot be ignored. No matter what your real estate attorneys tell you, whatever your agent did in 2007, even if she is dead wrong, and I believe you, and I believe that your broker is dead wrong, okay? And the seller is dead wrong, whoever sold you the home. that doesn't get away from the statute of limitations. Why, Lisa, do you continually just ignore or not hear that? The statute of limitations. I want to know, how are you getting around that?
I guess I shouldn't trust attorneys, and I should not trust realtors, because I thought they were to represent us.
If they told you you had a case without investigating it, they have to investigate it. Lisa, the statute of limitations is a time limit for all crime. All crime. Now, here's the deal. When does it start timing? That's what we have to figure out. It's when you should have known or discovered it. You just discovered it, but someone's going to make the argument you should have known when you bought it and saw that survey. It would have taken simply one glance at that map to know that you have this many feet on your property line and your deck is this many feet. You're going to say, well, I'm not a professional. I shouldn't have. But a defense attorney may say, otherwise, they're not going to just give you the money because you know you go after your broker.
What's the title company for then? And
well, that's one issue. Hold on, that's one area I keep forgetting. You're right, Lisa. That's one area. It doesn't matter about the statute. You have a clouded title. We have to figure out. However, most of the time, the title company is ensuring their search of your property. They're saying that they searched and found nothing that would cloud your title. We might be able to make the argument that they should have caught this. Have you?
Well, here's another issue.
Yes.
The deck is clearly now, not clearly when I was purchasing the home, clearly off of the property.
Well, of course it is.
Yet the city permitted it. And I took screenshots of the permit
yeah, but the city,
online.
now that might be true, but the city will never be responsible for you. That's just forget.
I know, but so the city's permitting
right.
Buildings to be built off of your property?
Yeah, and you will not be able, and you can't go after the city. Yeah, you just can't. Now, the deck builder you could go after. You can go after the seller, you can go after the deck builder, and you can go after the broker. But the statute of limitations dictates if you can. And that's what we have to figure.
And another question is, how did the builder even build the house? This property wasn't sufficient for building the house. You're supposed to have a 20-foot setback.
How long ago was it built?
The backyard.
How long ago was it built?
83.
Well, then you're never going to go after that person. Listen,
so
Mark,
all these people.
That's right.
It's a calamity of errors. And
Lisa, do you know something? Lisa, if I sold you a piece of property and everything about it was fraudulent, everything, every aspect of it, if it goes beyond a certain time, you can't do anything about it. I know it sounds crazy, doesn't it? David Salisbury, I know he dabbles in real estate. He's here to do something else, to talk about something else. But David, can I ask you something? Do you know about, and if you don't, we'll just move on. Do you know about the statute of limitations for real estate contracts and fraud and all that?
Well, my understanding is for any written contract, and maybe real estate is treated differently, it's usually a 5-year statute of limitation, and it can be extended in, like, I think till 6 or something if there's fraud involved.
Right.
But don't go by what I'm saying because I'm not a litigator.
All right, then we're going to find someone who can tell us, because I think the biggest question here, not if she went over the statute, it's when did the statute start timing itself? Because it's when you should have known or discovered it. And I think people are going to make the argument this woman should have known at closing because of the survey. But this is going to be a good one. So, David, you want to talk about a personal representative that's not responsive. We've had this complaint before. Someone dies. You feel you're part of that estate. This personal representative is either lax, ignoring you, or it's going on and on and on. What is one to do about that?
Well, Tom, yes, you've had this a number of times. I've had it innumerable times, and it's usually within the family. There's usually, say, a son and the mom dies, and he's holding on to everything, and he won't communicate with any of his siblings. Well, if you want to do it yourself, you need to send him a certified letter. If he has an attorney, send it to him as well. If they won't respond, you can get a lawyer. If you don't want to pay for a lawyer, you can send a letter to the judge in the case and just ask him if he would please look into this, give him the facts, And a lot of times judges will act on their own motion if they think that there's something that's not right going on in a case, which would include an estate.
That is great advice. If you ever have a question about estate settlements, trusts, probate, wills, just questions, free consultations initially always. And when he prices in like flat rates for what he does. It's wonderful. 720-493-3911. 720-493-3911. We've been talking about real estate. Frank Duran, the real estate man, I'll tell you what, he has a checklist that he goes over with his owners when they sell, and he goes over it with the buyers when they buy. You won't find these ridiculous problems with Frank Duran, the real estate man.com. 303-920-1622. The best at what he does, and he has a host of satisfied clients to prove it. Frank Duran, the real estate man.com.
This is Denver's talk station, 630 KHOW and iHeart.
Was I imagining it, or was she just ignoring the statute of limitations? Because she's ignoring the statute because she's frustrated. Well, they did wrong. Well, we know they did wrong.
She settles for $4,000 and pays $17,000
Here's what it
for the
says.
lawyer.
The act of here's why they did it that way, though. The act of adverse possession does not itself transfer fee of ownership. It only opens up the right. It merely gives rise to the claim.
I know that.
For the fee ownership of the real property to the adverse claimant. To obtain fee and title, the record title of the property, the adverse claimant must prevail in a quiet title lawsuit against a recorded owner. The court decree in favor of the adverse claimant, when recorded, established the record title of the real property. The judge will generally give fair amount
fee.
It said that to prevail on a claim. Hold on.
Where does it say they pay?
Well, it says I just read you where it said.
Mark, fee title is what fee title is what they call any ownership. It doesn't mean you pay it means you pay a recording fee.
Here it is. Further, the adverse claimant may be required to reimburse a losing party for all taxes, assessments that can be that can be apportioned over the time to the property and were paid by then the record owner over the 18-year period. The amount will also bear interest on the statutory rate and the dates on which the losing party
they don't pay for the
payment on such.
They don't pay for the property, Mark. I swear to God, they don't pay for the property. They do in whatchamacallit, in eminent domain, but not in adverse possession. They don't pay for the property.
So even her plot, she would have got on her title her plot size, and it would have been a lot bigger than what she actually had there.
George Brockwood got me a great popper, but I never used it before, but I love poppers. What's a popper? Poppers, when you put on your phone, pop it. I mean, what's a popper?
Okay, hold on, listen to this. Once a decree of the quiet title has been obtained by the claimant as to either adverse possession or a prospective easement, the marketability of the newly obtained property remains an issue due to the possibility of an appeal by the decree of the losing party.
Mark, what that means? Okay, keep going, and I'll tell you what that means.
Okay, as such, a title company will not insure the property obtained by the
judicial
decree for 6 months.
You can't resell it right away because it's in question. Right.
Hey, it's Ross Kaminsky, and I'm here with Donna, another...
God, I swear they changed this in 2016.
You had health issues?
Well, I'm not going to say they didn't. I'm going to say I don't know about it. All I know is that you don't pay in an adverse possession, they take it.
Well,
I don't know, so what good is this?
In Colorado, statute for a contract is 3 years.
Well, that's without fraud, though.
Yeah, without fraud.
Right, but this wasn't fraud.
Well, it would have been fraud.
Well, not if the old owner did that.
You're right, it's not intentional fraud.
She's thinking that the realtor, because she wasn't smart, was fraudulent.
No, there was no fraud. There's those ones at Stapleton where they were selling them low housing prices there. The same realtors were selling them.
Oh, for the affordable housing?
Yes, affordable housing. I'll guarantee you that's fraud. Because the one that called us, the realtor sold her the house.
You think it was?
Absolutely. The realtor who sold her the house also listed it when she sold it and didn't go for
that was
lower
horrible.
income.
That one was horrible. She was the same
person. Same realtor.
Do you want this pop-up? I can't go.
What is it?
For your phone, a pop. It's called.
I thought you meant a soda buddy. Cool.
No, I'm not a girl.
This is a good one, though, Mark. This is a good one.
Great. All the kids use those for selfies, right? Is that what it is?
Well, it's all, yeah, it's for all kind. It's really cool.
You hang it on your car?
But
Suzanne got a really good magnet one for her car.
I have one. That's what I use here. This one. Did you get it at Costco?
Yes.
I love it.
And the one is weird, though. The one you'd never use.
One I use. And
Okay, I got a question.
But, oh, the neck one.
Is that going to fuck up your credit card? Well, you have that magnet?
No, well, it hasn't.
No, the other. I don't think the chip.
I have
works
actually
that way.
held my.
Well, no, but there's also a magnetic stripe on the back of these credit
I want
cards.
to get a 10. Our 10's
Come on,
good.
give me your credit card. Let's try it.
Come on,
Credit card.
630 KHOW, an iHeart radio station.
Our 10's good, Mark.
I don't think so. I thought the 8 had better reviews.
Okay.
Hi, Tom Martino, your troubleshooter, 303-713-TALK. Okay, Colorado Tinnitus and Hearing Center has a new location. Again, I'm starting up my tinnitus treatment. They're pioneers in it. And they're great people. I really want you to visit them for an evaluation. They have no obligation trial periods. Now, you pay for an evaluation, but the evaluation now, I can't believe this, but they're free. This is a complete hearing evaluation workup. This is not just, a hearing test. This is normally a charge. This is totally free to celebrate their grand opening at their new location. So if you're a candidate, you can also then get a free test drive of hearing aids or tinnitus treatment. There is a trial period for tinnitus treatment, not free, but there's a trial period where you can get out of it. It's also, but for all hearing aids, a free trial period with no obligation, and now a free evaluation of your hearing loss and or tinnitus. Please go see my friends. Helpforringing.com. They're now at 3601 South Clarkson. That's in Inglewood, okay? It's Clarkson and Hamden. 303-534-0163. 303-534-0163. Okay, so Greg says he disagrees on what's being said with this real estate call. I have no idea what he could possibly disagree with. Go ahead, Greg.
Hey, Tom. Pleasure. Hey, I didn't hear the conversation, so I'm coming at the end.
Okay, so then.
Well, that's Lisa's
Yeah,
boyfriend, and
All right.
she said, my boyfriend really disagrees with what's being said.
Okay,
I said,
so-
let's get him on.
So, Greg, here's what I said. It's very simple. I think Lisa, I don't think it was fraud. Fraud would have to be intentional. But I think Lisa has a case against both the real estate broker possibly and the seller of the home especially, because I believe that they had a responsibility to check out the encroachment. I think that let's just put it this way. I'd like to believe she has a 100% provable case against them. However, with all crime, all laws, all contracts, there is a statute of limitations, and it simply happened too long ago.
Most crimes.
Yes. Now, here's the deal. And civil, this is civil. And all civil matters have a statute of limitations. Now, the statute goes from the time it happened, or was discovered, I mean, or when it should have been discovered. Lisa's going to argue she just found out about it, so now she has a statute counting. The defendants will no doubt say, what, are you kidding me? When you bought this place in 07, you had a survey. And the survey clearly shows your property lines, and that's the time you should have known. I believe, personally, that Lisa does not have a case based on the statute of limitations. This is not a legal opinion. It's a personal opinion. And now you can talk. Do you disagree with that?
Well, the things you left out, there was never a ILC or a survey done
Greg,
when Lisa bought the
there
house.
was a survey done. We have the survey dated on the date she bought it. It wasn't dated, it wasn't done that day, but she signed it, or they signed it at the time of closing. There was a survey. There was not an improvement survey. You people keep saying ILC, improvement surveys. It is what that is it draws the deck, and it draws the barbecue pit if you had one. It draws the swimming pool. That's all it does. However, a survey, if you get a survey and it shows that out your back door you have 12 feet at the height and only, 2 feet at the other end, then it would not take a genius to look at your deck and say, wait a minute, my deck goes out further than that. However, I'm not telling you, Greg, I would have discovered it. Maybe I wouldn't have. What I am saying is the defense will use it. I'm not saying they're going to prove it, but they're going to say that Lisa should have known at the time of closing. Therefore, the statute of limitations is expired. Lisa is going to argue, there's no way I could have discovered it. I'm not a professional. I relied on professionals. Therefore, I just discovered it. I don't know why this is so difficult to understand. We're going into a fight not recognizing what the enemy is going to do is just foolhardy. That's going to be the main issue. It's not whether or not they did their responsibility. It is the statute of limitations accurate or not? Here's the point. Before attorneys take any case, the very first thing they look at is something called jurisdiction. That means, is it taken in the right court at the right time? That's it. So right now, I believe she's at a serious disadvantage because this happened 11 years ago.
Right, I agree, Tom, but the kick of the whole thing was there was a disclosure signed by the owner saying that there was no encroachment.
Greg, did you hear what I just said?
Yes.
I believe the owner and the seller is responsible to Lisa. That is not the issue.
Right,
My God. You say the kicker
no,
is...
I agree with you.
I'm not saying they're not. Lisa was screwed. I'm not saying that. The point is, we have a statute of limitation. In fact, I refuse to talk about it anymore because I'm going in circles. What we have to do is get someone who can counsel Lisa on how they believe the statute was counted.
I found what I was looking for.
Okay.
Let me just say this.
Just hold on one second. All right, Mark, I really don't want to... We didn't really have this debate on the air.
That's
we can
true.
talk about it off the air.
Okay.
I want to introduce our guest because he's been with us and he has answered a few questions. I just want to shout to Dan Mahoney here, Insurance Group of Denver. He's been on the referral list a long time and he has answered some insurance questions. And when he's not here, I just want to tell you, he's on the referral list at referralist.com and he's at 303-423-0162. Now, you got to get another URL for your website because I think it's wonderful that you have E-GIA because you are group insurance analyst. Isn't that what it meant? What does GIA stand for? Is that your website? Oh, it's not your website. Suzanne, that's not his website. Okay.
IGdenver.com.
Okay. So that is all right because insurance group. So it is it E?
IG Denver.
Okay, if that's all it is IG? That's a great website. So I take that back. You are truly www.ig.com.
IG Denver.
Oh, IG Denver. Okay. Well, that's not so bad. It's all right, though. So your Insurance Group of Denver, and as I said, there you can find them on the referral list at referralist.com. I know I have to take this break. I'm going to go to other callers after this. We'll try to help Lisa with a real estate attorney, but right now I'm just going nuts. I'm just going absolutely crazy. The Raleigh House, the Raleigh House, yeah. Let's talk about that. If you have an addiction, if you have an addiction affecting your family in any way, please take down this number. It's that easy. Information is the number one comfort and weapon we need with addiction because we don't know anything about it. How bad is it? How does it rank as far as badness goes? Seriously. What's the percentage of people that get over this? What do I look for? What kind of telltale signs? How do I know if it's getting worse? Let's talk about helping people with addiction. How do I confront them? What do I say? How much does it cost? Does insurance cover it? How many treatment programs are there? Tell me about the Raleigh House. There is no obligation. It's confidential. 720-893-5559. 720-893-5559.
This report is brought to you by Lowe's.
Big delays downtown, northbound I.
Okay, so in 2008, Colorado passed House Bill 1148. Okay, 1148 does this. The act gives the court discretion to award damages if fair and equitable under the circumstances to the person losing title. These damages may include the actual market value of the property.
But they don't buy the property, Mark. That's an award if they feel they've incurred damages. That is not, it's not like eminent domain where you get fair market value. It's not automatic. I swear to God.
That's right, it's not automatic.
And in fact,
but they do it a lot.
Okay, well, I'll tell you this. They don't. I'll bet you, and I'll bet you lunch, that in the majority of cases, they are not granted.
We got to get an attorney on now. Who do we know that knows?
I'm not going to do it on the air. We're not doing this on the air.
I wonder who knows.
Let's do it.
Who would we know?
You know why? Remember that Boulder case? Do you remember that Boulder case?
Yep.
That judge. There was an outrage.
That's why this bill passed.
Oh, maybe it is.
It's literally why this bill passed.
Maybe it is.
They talked about that.
There was an outrage.
It says the highly contentious
They were attorneys.
and nationally
We can do our own.
publicized
Listen, we can do our own. We can go into one of our searches, Mark, and you can search. You don't only search by name. I think we can search by topic.
What happened in that Boulder? This bill is purely because
Okay,
of that Boulder.
This judge and his wife lived next door to this nice couple that owned a shitload of land. And this
was just one plot. But go ahead.
Well, I'm talking about for Boulder. It was a shitload of land. This was not in the city, and this judge was using to jog over their land to get to his path. That's all he did. All he did.
Didn't build anything.
Nothing. I don't even think they maintained it, but nothing was maintained. It was a little. It wasn't rural, but it wasn't.
It's Boulder. I get it.
So, and they were oversized lots. He claimed because he ran this path, everything there was his, and he got it. He was a judge too. And that couple, it rendered their lots so
because they couldn't build.
They couldn't build.
That's why they changed that.
It was their dream lot, and they got knocked out.
And that's exactly why this bill 1148 passed.
Hi, Tom Martino, your troubleshooter. Okay, Jim has a comment on statute of limitations. Go ahead, Jim. James, turn down the radio. Okay, when he turns down the radio, I'll go back to him right now. Nick, what's going on with you? Hello. Nick, what's happening, Nick? Okay, I'll go back to Nick. Nick has been waiting a long time. No, I'm going to stay with Nick. He's been waiting too long. Nick, are you there, sir?
Yes.
Okay, what can I do to help you, sir?
Hey, I work for a company that employs a lot of different employees out of state, and they house us all. And I was told, I'm the manager here at the facility here.
Sure.
And I'm told, I mean, we all live in the same house together. I'm told that I'm not allowed to do a background check on someone who has a felony charge, and they are not allowed to disclose that to me.
Who told you that?
Are the head of our HR, and I'm just curious. I told him that I was going to do my own background check, and he told me that I'm not allowed to do that.
Well, okay, hold on. That's a whole bunch different, Nick. HR, if you're hiring somebody, it can be a condition of employment. What they're saying is it's weird to do your own and they don't want you to. They're saying you're not allowed by company policy. There is nothing in the world that can keep anyone from searching public records. It's not, you know what I'm saying? If you can get the information you need, if you can get the name, the birth date, or a social or anything close, you can do any check you want. But
I've already gotten all that information.
But Nick, your company is telling you they don't want you to do it. They can't tell you it's against the law or it's prohibited, because it is not. Now the other thing is this: they can also decide that they don't want to do it. Go ahead, Nick. What else?
If they send someone out here to live with me, say they're a car thief or a pedophile,
right,
I bring a child into that house, shouldn't I know? And are they liable? And if something does happen, are they taking a chance in facing a lawsuit?
Well, first of all, is this your personal home?
No, it's a home that they rent for all of us to live in.
Okay.
But we all live in the same house together.
Okay, here's what I'm saying. I believe, again, this is not legal advice, I believe, based on past cases we've had here through the Troubleshooter Network, that an employer is responsible for the actions of their employees in the scope of their employment. Here is going to be the issue. Can they say, well, after he leaves work and goes home, that's not the scope of their employment? But I think you could make the argument that since it was mandatory that you guys, or excuse me, since this was provided and everyone lived together, you can make the argument that they were negligent in not protecting their employees. It would be an argument. It would not be automatic, Nick.
Okay, I was just curious about that because, yeah, they tell me that they did a background check and they adjudicated him or whatever, and they say he's fine to do all that.
They said they cleared him, right. They cleared him. They don't think he's a risk. They have a right to do that. Now, you have a right to say, I'm not going to live here, and then go somewhere else. You see, Nick, that is a benefit they're providing you. They can put conditions on it. One of the conditions can be you live there and let us take care of the background checks, and then, or we're not going to do any background checks. You have the freedom to just turn it down. I'm not going to live there. You can't make them do background checks.
But when I'm the person in charge of that house and the facility we work at, they have no responsibility to let me know of that at all? I mean, there's
no, there's nothing that says they have to let you know. No, the short answer is no.
Okay.
Now, is it?
I was just curious.
Is it wise, Nick? It's foolish. I don't understand it at all. I mean, I'm with you. I'm with you, man. You're all living together. You know, I hope they do background checks and that these guys aren't bad dudes. Did you find a bad dude?
No, I mean, he has a PO and everything, but it was a little bar fight thing, which is fine. I mean, I've done this job for a while now, and I've actually.
If you want on the side to do your own background checks, now they told you not to, but they can't control what you do in your own time. They can't. If you did your own background check, what's that? You're free to do it.
I've already done a check on him, yeah.
Okay, so you're free to do it. What number is that, Suzanne? Oh, okay, all right. 303-713-TALK. I got to give, is this for insurance group? Insurance group? Okay. I'm going to do the number for them. I gave out one number. This is a better number. I don't have it yet, so let me know when it's there. Or just give it to us, Suzanne. We're really out of time.
Yeah, it's 303-653-9039.
653-90.
And they represent a ton of companies, right?
Do you do mostly commercial lines?
We do both personal and commercial.
All right.
Pretty wide.
And that's Insurance Group of Denver. You can find them at igdenver.com. Bruce, you have a comment on George Brockler. Go ahead.
Yes, absolutely.
We only have like 30 seconds, and we'll bring you back tomorrow if you want. Go ahead.
Trust in our government is essential, and it's mandatory that leaders of our government take owners of our mistake. The Tim Hedrick case in Fort Collins, where lying police and cheating prosecutors put a man to prison for years.
I imagine that can happen, Bruce. I imagine it can happen. I recognize you. Thank you. I haven't heard from you in a while. Feel free to call back tomorrow. Save all your problems for me.
Visit Lady Luck Casino Blackhawk for exhilarating gaming.
Bent out of shape and people don't hear what I'm saying. I guess that's just the frustration I have when I try to explain something, and it just is.
Changed their tracking system. So
Oh, that was?
we reprogrammed it. I don't even know what the.
No, that's
it's an assigned number.
That's what the 653 is when I had.
That's the one. Yeah, that's it. That's the prefix.
Yep.
Just
Okay.
Listen, we do a smash-up job on digital marketing. We do. And Mark can explain it to you. And we can do it. We are only doing it for people that have been with us a long time because we don't want something out there in cyberspace that we can't take back. But we do.
Dan, I'm having you back in. I clicked on, you know what happened is I clicked on the wrong.
I sent you an email. Would you read it real quick?